Friends, welcome to Mokoko Cast number 13. And in Mokoko Cast fashion, someone always has to be eating to start the show.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm here.
Welcome, Zzav. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you for having me back.
Absolutely. Rufio, thank you for coming back, even though you're contractually obligated to be back.
Always a pleasure to be here.
We're going to switch over to the other scene so that we can get chat involved with this as well. But let me move this. Anyways, we were watching a little bit of the North American West tournament that's going on right now. If you guys were interested, the Archives is having that going on. Will be today, tomorrow, and next week. Shout out to all the PvPers in the chat. Also, we're here to talk about so much shit with Lost Ark. Holy crap.
Seriously. Oh my god. There's so much to go over.
There is so much to go over.
Let's start with a 30-day synopsis.
A 30-day synopsis? Okay, you start us off, Rufio.
Dude,
bring us up to speed.
What a hellacious journey. I'll say the numbers we were given during the event that they did, the Crown Lola event that they did. Gold River said 250,000 tops. We came and we showed out and quadrupled those numbers upon the game fully releasing on that Friday on the 11th.
Yep.
Oh my god. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 million.
I think it was topped out at 1.3. Right?
Is
concurrent?
Immensely insane.
And viewers. We hit 1.3 million players and viewers, tying WoW for the highest viewership for an MMO on Twitch.
That's insane.
Let's go. The numbers have been fairly strong. I know we've had a little bit of drama. Just a little bit. I know EU has been having some connectivity issues. We got a new region. What is that? EU West has come online. Several servers have been brought online for both areas. There's an immense amount of players. And I think both Smilegate and Amazon really underestimated the player base wanting to get their hands on this game.
Agreed.
Which was so amazing. Well, no new players yet. We got one new outfit. We got Argos.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a lot of fixed items in the game.
Also timers.
Yeah. And timers, yeah. Well, the timers are working now. The timers
are actually fixed.
They're finally fixed. But it's been the communication, I will say, the pre-patch notes that they're doing are great when they follow the patch notes and they release everything as it's intended to be released.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate that. I like the monthly, it seems like every month we're going to get one major piece of content, because that seems how that they've done in both February and March thus far, with giving us the March update review or reveal. And then I think they did the same thing in February as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've topped out with also giving us our weekly updates on top of that. And then for the new content that they're introducing, they're also giving some specific light on that, which is even more better. We also got, after the 1 month roundup, we got that amazing letter from Smilegate and Amazon. I would like to know your guys' thoughts on the letter before we start looking back on some of the amazing ups and downs that we've had on Lost Ark.
Go ahead, Zzav.
I felt that the letter was actually really good, especially in the way that they are going to be implementing the changes that they are. For example, the Guardian event, in order to inject more materials into the into the player base so that people can keep enhancing more and trying to get caught up. And I think that's a really vital part, because we're still missing so many elements to it. There are some concerns with the update, like with the PvP ranked being about to start, and there has not once, at least to my knowledge from what I've seen, I haven't had anybody share it with me, anything about addressing or mentioning about the matchmaking system as it currently still is, with resetting every time you log out.
Yeah.
Kind of concerned about how that, because I'm worried about this ranked season starting, and there's been no communication about this issue. And what if people's MMR resets every time they log out?
Oh,
Something
True.
like that.
Yeah.
That would be really annoying.
Yeah.
But then, also, there have been people who have run into instances of people hacking, botting, and whatnot. And, botting is going to happen no matter what. But the hacking is something that they'll need to tackle pretty quickly because that will devolve the entire ranked experience very quickly.
Hmm.
Um, I do like the change instead of changing tier 3 honing rates, they are giving a uh, guaranteed method in which you can acquire the weapon and armor books to increase your honing chances through the event vendor. Since right now the only way to get them is an RNG drop from hard mode or from like Argos and whatnot, which the players who are currently struggling with their enhancing to get to Argos don't have access to unless people post them on the auction house. So it's nice that is a good alternative
Yeah.
to giving people increased honing chances without changing the honing rate across the board.
Absolutely. And like
call.
with that, it's a shame that we have had the situation where like the KR players are like, "Hey, we already experienced this content issue. Why did you put the 1340 to 1370 system that we already said was terrible into the American version or the West version of the game?" And like them coming out onto the forums and saying like, "Hey, this was frustrating for us and you guys knew about it. You guys fucked up." And them kind of saying, "Sorry, yeah, this was kind of the way it had to go because of the system of like the two different clients and the patches and the lead up to getting like Vaulton ready. Like they couldn't just give us the patch that had Vaulton ready but unenabled until it was ready to, and then we would have had like a lot more people at 1370, which I am all for. I want people to have gear. Like, I think it's unfortunate the way that this is all shaken out, and I think it sucks. And I think what also is kind of a bummer about this is like you see Asmongold's videos coming out like, "Hey, this game needs to not be pay to win," and it's like, bro, I'm 1370 without spending a dime. Like, I spend money on skins, and so I just I wish there was a way for me to talk to people and be like, whoa, 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 before everybody doomsday cults and freaks out about pay to win. Like it's possible. It is possible, and I do it. And it makes me sad that is something that has happened.
I think the interesting thing is that I'm really surprised that they didn't, at the very least, regardless of T3 honing, because I agree to an extent that T3 honing doesn't need to be changed in its current state, but that instead they should have been changing the honing for tier 1 and tier 2 because that is old content, that is considered failed content, that is considered the failed versions of the game um in the previous years, and it would just push everybody into tier 3, and people could spend their time doing the tier 3 grind, and people would be able to do their alts and get their alts to tier 3, and so now they're able to play multiple characters in tier 3, and there'd be a very large injection of materials then.
Absolutely.
And I think that would take care of a lot of issues people have, because then, even if people are failing their enhancements, they're at least going to have materials that they can feed to their main character to at least pity their gear. Know a little bit about that. But
both, dude.
How many fails are you at, Zzav?
248.
Fuck.
Smilegate.
You're getting ready to unlock the achievement right now.
Smilegate.
Yeah, I'm too.
Help.
It was a race to see if I would hit the 250 fail mark or 1370 first.
Wow.
Brutal.
Yeah. It was close. It was close.
Rufio, what are you at?
I haven't broken 150.
I'm at 208.
I enhanced 2 days in a row. I did a double full like 12 and only failed like 3 or 4 times. and then yeah, I don't. Sorry, I don't want to but trust me, I've been
Okay,
failing these last couple days. I'm trying to get to 1370 as
Rufio's.
as well as I possibly can.
This man said the words "you and me both." I'm
You
sorry.
No,
remember?
okay, no. Listen, my T2 experience, I no joke. I was in DJ's chat crying my eyes out. I cannot tell you. I pity 3 items in a row. And this is me failing at 75, 72, 80, 85. I was failing at numbers that I could not believe I was failing
Yeah,
at
but think
in a
about
row, dude.
yeah, but you were pitying at like 70%. That's so many less
Oh,
materials, so many less failures needed
it
It's
to
true.
get
hurt.
to
Okay,
that
it
pity
hurt.
mark. Okay.
It's true.
Where I'm over here pitying on plus 13, plus 14, and it's costing me 15 taps to get to that pity, man.
Oh man. Hey, listen, okay. You guys wanted to get to the content sooner, all right? I'm just taking my sweet time. So my
Okay.
pities are slower than yours. But to go back to the letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys take the verbiage that Amazon, and I'm gonna lump Smilegate into this as well. How did you guys take the verbiage that they were using? It felt like there was a bit of accountability being taken on both sides, with the fact that they realized oh, we kind of messed up with rushing. They wanted to get us Argos, but they kind of realized oh crap, we didn't really have any systems in place for T3 because again, we don't have the trials runs. There's not much in terms of islands that really reward you with T3 mats like you get in T1 and T2. What was your guys' takeaway with the verbiage that they were using as a whole? Does this instill any faith, restore any faith? Does this make you kind of question things still? Are you weary? Where do you guys stand?
I think that I feel better knowing now that there is an AGS representative in the building at Amazon.
This one
His
guy,
name's
he's
Smilegate.
in the closet.
So-
He's in the broom
so there's,
closet.
maybe a little more clear communication going on
Yeah.
or efficiency in terms of the communication because this is the one thing that I do think Amazon lacks is their communication. It is the one thing that I think is their weakest point. Um just overall as a company and as a developer and as a publisher, it was an issue with the New World and it's been an issue with Lost Ark is
Mhm.
just the communication. And now some of that unfortunately is internally. It's not even necessarily communication with the player base because we do have some CMs who are very active and very vocal and communicative, but sometimes the information that they provide or gets changed or something, but
Mhm.
they were told late on it, and
Mhm.
that is some of like the internal communication not being very good within the company between all the different levels of the publishing team that there are. But it has felt like there has been a little bit of a disconnect between AGS and Smilegate between
I
the
get it.
release and now, and hopefully,
Absolutely.
this Smilegate representative being inside AGS now will hopefully, close the gap on that miscommunication and bring a little more consistency on what is supposed to be there because it is confusing having our version the way that it is. It is confusing, you know getting those patch notes that we had before release that had all that honing information on it. My question is, where did that honing information come from and now where has it gone?
Mhm.
Where was that supposed to come into play originally, and why and how did it make its way into the release notes and that type of thing,
Mhm.
along with the missing content? I understand, they say like, okay, well, the current build that we're on wasn't able to have, the different honing changes or whatever before Valton. Okay, but PvP vendor, you don't
Mhm.
need the PvP season in order to have the PvP vendor. You don't
That
need to have Valton in order to have the equalized Abyssal and Guardians.
right.
Where are they? Why is it missing? What is the these are the things where it's like, what is the reasoning behind this? No matter what the reasoning is, if you at least communicate a reason, that does so much. And that is one of the frustrating things as players
I
is a lot of the times people don't care what the reason is. They just want a reason instead of
right.
being left in the dark. Like you could literally just be like, well, we didn't want to put it in right now. Okay, great. we're not happy with that, but you at least gave us a reason instead of us going, why is it like this?
I
Why
I
AGS? Why?
I think that what's going on is like obviously pretty much everybody, well no, okay, so everybody that we interact with has played this game for a lot longer than Amazon has even started touching on it, right? Like
Yes.
I've been playing since beta of Korea on and off. You, Zav, have been playing for a very long time as well. I think you played during beta as well, didn't you?
I played not during the beta, but I played during the release. So I played
Okay.
during the release of KR,
Yeah.
JP, Russia, etc. So
So, like, I mean, obviously that we've kind of dedicated our majority of our daily time to this game as content creators and as, enthusiasts of Lost Ark. So we know the game inside and out. And then for them, they're like, well, if we don't put it in the game yet, I mean, we kind of clamp down on the honing materials and we kind of get control of this. And they're looking at it from a very unique perspective. But we're like, hey, where's our goddamn content that we've already been playing through? Like, we've already seen this on Russia. We've seen this on Korea. And they're like, yeah, but America doesn't know about that. So it's like, we don't have to talk about it. And it's like, we're the ones that are bringing it to the forefront that show like, hey, this content's in the game. Why aren't you talking about it? And then it's like, it comes from both angles. Like,
right.
If the game was brand new and nobody knew what was going on, yeah, sure. Like, then it's kind of
Absolutely.
like, yeah.
And I do think that is like one thing that, a lot of companies still, they disregard the information that content creators will bring to light no
Mhm.
matter what, because information is power. Information is value.
Mhm.
Information, just has so much control over the way people see things. And I think Garzi, what he said is very much so on the point. If
Mhm.
you don't tell your audience, your player base, the reasons for things, they will draw their own conclusions.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that is what leads to the crazy ideas, conspiracies, the hate threads, just all these different things that people come up with on the forums and Reddit
Mhm.
and whatnot. And that's why it's so important for companies to, no matter how poor of a reason it is, to communicate the actual reason. That way you clamp down and eliminate any of the far-fetched crazy ideas that people end up throwing out there all over the place. And
Yeah.
because there is no official reason for it, people will believe what they want to believe, right?
Mhm.
It's just like the news. People are going to believe whatever they see because it's what they want to believe, regardless of whether or not there's if there's no actual official source on it. But because they were told this, that's what they're going to go off of.
Yeah.
What anybody told them. So you need to have these official sources that just are providing this information, no matter how basic or mundane it is. It really does make a difference.
Absolutely.
Spot.
Go ahead, Rufio.
Oh, so with the communication that they've been doing, this is for both of you guys. So they've obviously Amazon has been communicating with this letter. They've been communicating that they're realizing that the honing system is definitely flawed. And then the big hot topic right now is the state of the economy, and in part to do with botting and gold sellers.
I have a hot take about botting, by the way.
Okay, so
Ooh.
we got a million we got a million bots that were banned. They put that out like I think a week or two ago. They
Mhm.
announced that they had officially banned over 1 million accounts in terms of botting. What is your guys' stance, and where do you think they're going to go in the
Captain Hot
future
Take.
with addressing these bots and the financial market right now?
Well, I think botting, they're going to do what they can do in terms of botting, like all companies do. They will, do their best to eliminate them. But at the end of the day, Lost Ark is a free to play game in North America and EU, which have zero restrictions upon account creation. This isn't KR or something that has it tied to your social security number or your phone number or things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
You eliminate a bot, it takes 5 seconds for somebody to create a fake email and start up a new Steam account.
Yep.
Like
Mhm.
it's, and there are people with they have all these accounts on backlogging and whatnot. But this is my little hot take on it. And I think the hacking is the more important bit. Like
Mhm.
whether or not there's bots, it's more of a problem if you see bots that are also hacking with like teleport hacks and whatnot. That stuff, you got to get something about hacking under control. in
Yeah.
that regard. But bots in general, 9 out of 10 times are actually good for MMOs because they stabilize the economy. They are what make things affordable, and they do the activities that players themselves don't want to do 90% of the time. And that is what allows prices to actually be low and affordable a lot of the time. Before the bots had really taken hold into the game, fishing stuff was up for like it was like, 70 gold for a stack of fish, and now it's all the way down to like 20 gold. So if people need to buy stuff to make things, bots do make a lot of different things like potions and farming materials far more accessible in terms of cost for the average player. Now
Cost
the
versus
hardcore
time.
players,
That's
yeah.
the important thing. Cost versus time.
Mhm.
Because what Amazon views gold price as, or blue crystals price as, is going to be far different than what the guy that's working at McDonald's views gold and blue crystals as, and royal crystals, right? Like, I just wanted to touch on that as well. Keep going, Dad.
No, but like, to use it as an example, World of Warcraft, for example, with Classic, you could always tell when a bot wave occurred because potions that people used in raiding, health potions and mana potions, they would be around like 50 silver. And then when the bots would get banned, whenever there would be a massive bot ban wave, you would actually see the price on these consumables jump up to like 3+ gold per potion. Not even like a stack, but like per potion. So like, bots, believe it or not, actually do bring a lot of stabilization to the economy. Now, it is still I absolutely agree, bots at the same time are bad in that they can definitely take away from a lot of people's experiences. You don't want to end up with bots in any actual gameplay content
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
valuable. Things like Guardian raids and whatnot, Abyss raids, things like that, PvP, etc. But I mean, even Korea has bots, right? Like, playing on KR, and when we were,
Is it the
leveling
same
characters.
level as what we're seeing here, though? What we
No.
see currently?
No. What their bots are doing are just like summoners in the low level zones farming adventure tome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I ran into yesterday while I was queuing with PvP or for PvP. I was literally running the same thing where I was finding an artillerist that was posted in Papanica, literally just farming mats the whole time, just standing there killing enemies and farming up anything for the adventure book. And some of the mats I was looking at, I'm like, damn, dude, like this stuff is actually kind of worth a lot here.
Yeah.
Like you can actually,
I mean, think about if you had a bot in tier 3, like obviously you'd have to get some bot to tier 3, which is a thing in itself. But like right now, when people are doing adventure book stuff, like it's so worth money wise to leave a bot or 5 farming zones on mobs and getting those materials, because I mean people desperately want to get that potion for the 80% in Punica, sorry. That's so weird, by the way. After all this time, Punica instead of Papanica, which is so weird.
It's not even Punica.
What is the original name?
No. Did you not hear the enunciation of like the NPCs in game?
No.
They call it Punica.
Yeah, Punica.
I apparently I hit G a lot. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's Punica. So which is so weird because it's like the original name you wouldn't have said Popunica or Papunica. You literally say Papunica.
Yeah.
And so, even this though, Punica is not the name for it, but we all call it that, right? Because it's like, we're used to saying Papunica.
Yeah.
This is very
Weird.
true. So
Caden.
Caden. The other thing that they announced was, which you guys touched on a little bit on, is the Event Guardian raid. Personally, I was a little annoyed because I feel like they should just add the content as a whole.
Yes.
I don't like the idea of me having yet another currency that I have to like basically manage and keep up on. So that's a little frustrating for me, but I mean it is what it is. But on top of that, though, they have made the Acacia Grand Prix adjustments. How hyped are you guys about our first event that we got and that was given to us?
Bro, I love Mario Kart. I think the Grand Prix has been so much fun to like just once a day. You just kind of chill out and you race. I wish that I was able to do it like 3 times a day because it's fun, you know?
I was saying that too. I was like, dude, I wish I could like go back and do it on my alt, or at least just go in and just do the race.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Just do
fun.
the race. Period. I've been enjoying myself so frigging much with that, like that whole race. Are you guys excited that they made the adjustments to allow us to be able to get even more stuff?
I mean, so far it's not in the game yet, is it? I mean,
No.
No, not yet. But
it's next
coming.
week. Next week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm excited that people are going to be able to actually progress because, like, I know as a guild that's doing Argos 2, tomorrow. I think we're doing phase 2 tomorrow. Like, I know other guilds have already cleared Argos, and it's just like I don't. The difficulty is not the problem in the fight; it's getting the gear, and that's the worst part. Of like, hey, you're not allowed to come into this dungeon because you don't have the gear score. That's such a feels bad. That's where the issue I have is. Like, you have like Volton, who caps out at 14, 15, right? For you to finish all the content in Volton, which is gonna be great once Volton comes out, in like a month or however long it comes out. That's not hard to do, and phase 1 of Vicus is 14, 15 as well. So like, you're going to have this influx of materials over the next coming months that you're going to be able to really like push your gear a lot higher. But right now there's just like, it's no materials and you're fighting against the system rather than fighting against the boss. You know?
So here's my overall stance on everything that we've gotten so far, especially with this letter coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this is the end of the game too hard, like pity party that people have been kind of throwing recently. I know it's gonna be kind of like a whoa, but everything so far, people have been like, just I feel like everyone's just been complaining about everything instead of just trying to take the game at their own speed. I feel like everyone sees their favorite streamer rushing to Argos, and it's like, dude, just play the game at your speed. I get mats are hard to come by, but I really hope this is the end of it. Like, I would hate to see that this is what we're going to be seeing from like every piece of content that comes out. They're like, oh, too hard, needs to be reduced. Oh, we're not getting enough here. We need more rewards. And it's like, man, dude, like I did all this in RU and it was like not even nearly as bad.
Nope, this will not be the end of it. I will tell you, just from seeing the way NA and EU takes MMOs, the way they approach games, and the way they criticize them, as well as seeing these things across various different Korean MMOs, they will always complain about it. NA EU is a very strongly entitled audience that wants everything now. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going anywhere, and I agree. It's kind of the bane of MMOs. In general, right? I mean, we're looking at literally, right? Like the game released and people were like, "Oh my god, the game has too much content," and then the game was actually out, and then people were like, "The game doesn't have enough content," and it's like, well, what do you?
Yeah.
What do you?
Yeah.
What do you want?
It's the difference. It's the difference between the guy that could play 12 hours a day versus the guy that could play 12 hours a week. You know, the guy that plays 12 hours a week and is like looking on the forums and like looking how to min-max his stuff, and like he still wants to do all this content at the same pace that the guy that plays 12 hours a day is playing and doing his stuff. And he's like, bro, I'm playing the same game. And it's like, no, you're not playing the same game. This is that guy's life. That's his job. 12 hours a day. You have a job, you have a day-to-day life. This is your stress relief. This is your hobby. Like, there's a very different dynamic that's going on. And like, I understand that you want to accomplish these grand feats that this other player is doing, but you don't have the time, and that's just the realness of it. And I feel bad. Like, I wish the other player that plays 12 hours a week was able to play, 25 hours a week, 30 hours a week, and be able to do the content. But if the guy, in the middle ground, the guy that plays, let's say 3 hours a day, is able to get through this content and get to Argos and do all that stuff, and the guy that's playing 3 hours a week is still frustrated by it, that's just like, you have to cater to one common denominator, right? And it's got to be the guy that plays, 2-3 hours a day, because that's the guy that's consistently going to be playing your game for the foreseeable future. And the
Which is weird
people
'cause it's
above
not how it
that,
is right now at all.
right?
At least in our version, right? Like, with the way the enhancing is, the missing content, the missing resources, this game right now is very much so catered. And this is the thing. Without the communication that comes to play, people draw their own narratives. And the narratives right now that everybody is going is Amazon is milking their whales before making any changes by having this restriction, by not having in these resources that are available. You push people to the alternative of feeling obligated to swipe in order to
Mhm.
make up for the missing materials. And that is the narrative that players draw themselves because there is no reasoning behind it, because there has not been anything said about why we don't have equalized guardian, why we don't have equalized abyss, why we don't have PvP vendor. The narrative right now is they just want to get the money from the whales right now.
Yeah.
They're in this for the short term, not the long term. They don't care about the rest of the player base. They just want to milk everybody for their money to make them buy materials right now. That
Yeah.
is the narrative that people currently have.
And that's such an unfortunate narrative because of, like, we read into this in season 1. There was a very limited quantity of what upgrade materials you could have or get with time played. And then season 2 came out and they had the transition into, hey, we want more people to have more materials so that you're not feeling like you're gated. There's always another avenue. And if you don't want to play that content, you don't have to. But understand, if you don't want to play the content that's in the game, then you're going to have to pay for materials, because then, like, you're not playing the game to the fullest. We're putting the stuff in the game. Play the content, please, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel bad for Smilegate. It is a free to play game, in every region. So they have to draw a line in the sand. But the line that they drew for North America, while I still will stand that we have the best version of the client in terms of like PvP and what we got in tier 1 and tier 2. I wish the honing changes were implemented and made it easier to get to tier 3. I still think that we have a really good client on our hands, and that we have a really good version of the game, and we just want it to be the best version that it can be, that we know what it is. We
Absolutely.
we're passionate players. And I don't want that's I mean, there's a slippery slope with that to go into the entitled territory as well. You know what I mean? Like, how are you feeling about this, Rufio?
It doesn't. I thought it was gonna be. Man, at the end of the day, people are gonna spend money whether they want to or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't dictate what another person does. You can laugh about it, but it's not ruining my game experience. Like, nonetheless, I know for a while I was a little salty with. I was like, oh man, this is super predatory. What they're doing. The Mari shop is like, you can tell the people that are pay to win, or that quote unquote pay to win, by having 1400 gear score already, and the game's been out for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, at the end of the day, I just stopped caring. Like, I literally was just like, you know what? I would much rather enjoy the game with my friends doing the content that I'm enjoying doing, rather than worrying about what another person's doing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that person is in a way allowing me to further continue playing this game.
Absolutely.
The people that are buying $800-900 worth of outfits and selling them on the market, you genuinely cannot get mad at that person for getting gold, because they're doing something that another person may not be able to do. There aren't people out there that are able to just drop $40 on a full fit, but they can play the game and have an opportunity to acquire that outfit with gold for the time that they put in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, like, who am I to dictate what another person's doing with their credit card? If I'm able to continue to play the game, other players are able to get drip down, even though we don't have a lot of drip right now.
Yeah,
it's coming.
This is
But
baby
still,
drip.
yeah, but still, again, at the end of the day, a lot of people also don't realize this either. The people that are like pay to winning, if you learn kind of like the basic general idea, the free to play players are making money from the guys that are pay to winning, or that are swiping to get absurd amounts of gold or blue gems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're doing the stuff that they don't want to do. Like, for instance, I've been making pots for the last few days, and I'm up easily a good like 2-3K just from like making pots and selling them on the market because these guys don't want to do that work. So it's like for me, that's easy. If you want to go drop 2-3K buying all my pots, and all I do is put in a little bit of extra legwork and some time, what's it to me?
I mean, you're already double dipping at that point because you're farming World Tree leaves, and you're getting that content. And I don't hate gathering in this game. It's not bad. It's it's like it's chill. And
Okay.
Go ahead.
The one thing they need to change, since you put me onto it, I do not like the archaeologist process. Oh my god, I hate the fact that like you have to go beep beep, and then you have to put the thing down and then find it, and then I have to like fight mobs and then try to like. Oh my god, just make it.
What do you mean, dude? You don't have super armor?
Yeah, what are you
tools?
doing, Rufio?
Oh my god, listen, all right. I can tell you this: not hitting 200 fell stacks or fells. So
okay, okay, chill. Maybe when you get to 1370, we'll talk about it. But whatever, man. Like, no big deal.
Oh my god.
No,
yeah, no. Like overall, I'm not
super
I'm not
armor,
bothered
man.
by it. Yeah,
Super
I'm not
armor.
bothered by it. It is what it is. People are they're gonna spend the money. I can't say how a person spends the money. It's just like, what does that make me look like? A jealous person? I'm just happy that we have the game. We have a very good version of the game, and I'm able to play it. So as long as they keep funding it, we'll be able to keep playing it. Imagine if no one spent anything, and then they announce that we're getting server mergers, and then we're gonna be getting the servers closing down in a year. Like, no way, dude. Let these guys out all they want.
All right, settle down. That would never happen. All right, if Russia's hung around all this time.
True. And from what I've
we'll address this at the end of the year.
What I've heard that a lot of the JP players that were really hardcore in Japan have transferred over to EU or to NA West to play with more people, and that sucks to me. That's such a bummer that they botched the launch in Japan so bad that their players that are passionate about this game have to go to another region like we did. Like, I already feel bad enough about that. That's a bummer. But I get to see some of the best PvPers from Japan play in tournaments on West, which is cool to me. That's one thing that I was excited about. But
okay, so speaking of tournaments, in this last month we've had 3. I don't want to say major, but we've had 3 very, very well done tournaments. Would you like to talk about your accolades through these tournaments?
I mean,
your accomplishments.
The 2-time.
the 2-time back to back.
We got a first place to start the tournament season. Okay, so that was a good start. And then the next 2 tournaments the next week was second places, which is bummer. But what I would like to say is we are a consistently like very good team, and I'm proud of us because look at like we won the first tournament. The second tournament was won by Darksma, Dupree, and Jaeger. Dupree and Jaeger also being in Argos as well. And then
we're stacking over here. We're stacking.
And then the third tournament was won by Virus, Zergling, and Starlast, right?
Yep.
3 different teams winning tournaments early on is good. It's good for the health of the game because it brings, like, if we had just stomped out 3 tournaments in a row, even though we got second, I'm very proud of that still, and I want to win, don't get me wrong, I'm not making excuses here, okay? I'm still sad that we lost. I'm
DJ threw for content.
I threw from Mokoko cast content, which is like I think that it's good for the health of PvP as a whole, is for people to be able to cheer for just not just me, not just Odie, not Nate, but also Starlast, also Virus, also Darksma, also Dupree, also Jaeger, also, like I want to see these rivalries evolve, and I think that's I think so far that's really good for the health of the game.
So with the first like tournaments coming out, how do you feel about the state of PvP in its current form outside of the MMR issues that we've been having? How do you feel about PvP? Do you see a long-term push for PvP in this game? Does it seem like it's a one and done type of thing, or is this content that we could see
Zav,
really,
I'll let
really
you
go
start with that.
places?
So I think PvP is set up to do well. However, again, the perceptions of the NA and EU audience of what they want it to be is conflicting with it.
Mhm.
There's a large amount of people in NA and EU that want they want a ranked team elimination, they want a ranked 3v3 pre-made, and they don't want ranked solo queue. And so it's like, you know, the game is set up for success with its PvP. Uh,
Hmm.
but you say, matchmaking issues aside, the matchmaking issues are currently creating a very bad PvP experience for new players,
Mhm.
unfortunately, and that is one of the negatives to it at the moment. Having people who are new to the game, new to PvP, and being grade 20, grade 18, whatever, and you're going up against veteran players because they logged in for the first time that day. And you literally just get rolled and lose a match freaking, 13-0. That's not fun, and that's going to turn you off from PvP in general, because you don't even get an opportunity to learn. It's literally just you getting your teeth kicked in floor POV the entire time.
Mhm.
Yeah, makes sense. It makes sense. I think that with these tournaments being hosted by like the likes of like the Archive, Moonlit Battleground, and things like that, I think we could see that PvP is going in the right direction. I do know that like obviously the NA audience wants more out of their PvP. They want to really be able to do the whole group queuing thing and stuff like that. It makes me curious if we see Smilegate take this information and put this type of content in KR first, just to kind of sort of see how it works there. Because I don't think we're ever gonna get something before KR gets something. I don't
Yeah.
think that
Yeah, I
if our
agree.
audience likes has enough to say about it, then they'll eventually say something. So I think it's eventually gonna be one of those things that KR is gonna look at it, see if it's worth introducing, and then kind of go from there. So we'll definitely see. But yeah, I was genuinely curious because I know you guys are really big on the PvP, and with us having so many tournaments and everything, I was genuinely curious if how you guys are feeling about the state of PvP.
I think that yeah, we're in a good spot in the high
Mm.
end of it for tournaments and stuff because
Mm.
like obviously like there's no way to prove yourself other than through tournament in
Mhm.
a 3v3 setting, like a
Yep.
team oriented 3v3 setting.
Yeah, that's why ranked is so vital for a lot of people who don't
Mhm.
have people that they were able to play with beforehand, or people that they've met and are able to play with now, things like
Yeah.
that. I mean, myself, talking about that, like, I don't have a team to play tournaments with, right? And so it's like, and I don't have anything to warrant anybody to want me on their team at the moment, right? And that's where like ranked will come into play for a lot of people who typically play this game by themselves in PvP. Is
Mhm.
they can be like, "Hey, I'm master,"
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like, this is my credential. Because currently the only credentials that you have is the performance that you've had in these tournaments so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with ranked coming, hopefully like they haven't said specifically. They said that the season is starting next week. But does that mean that ranked itself is starting next week, or does that mean that we get the vendor and then it's the 2 weeks afterward of preseason, which they have
When I
done
saw
before?
when I saw
Which
competitive proving ground, I felt like that was the
Right.
actual like
I
rank.
feel the
That
same, but it worries
competitive
me.
proving ground. Yeah. See, this is the problem with like
well, I hate their verbiage that they used for
a,
PvP.
a a lot of the verbiages that they use kind of throughout some of these like this letter. There's a few instances like the overall letter and what it was intending to do, I think came across well. But for the players that have played this game for so long, there are key things that you're gonna question. Like competitive proving ground is very vague because that could be either just the overall season ranking, leaderboard climbing, or that could be the actual ranked PvP itself. So we
And
don't really
Right.
know, and you're questioning that. So now you're
Real-
like, do I need to start like switching over and getting myself prepared for this, or is it literally just the overall PvP ranking system is coming out, and I don't have to go as hard, but I should still start getting myself prepped.
Real quick, just for people to know the difference between the two, there are 2 leaderboards in the game. One being the actual ranked, like, bronze through grandmaster leaderboard of what you get at the end of the season. And there's another leaderboard of how much you play PvP, which is like an honor system similar to World of Warcraft's honor. And you can get different rewards unlocked through purchasable through the honor system. So how much you play PvP will get you a mount. Now how good you are at PvP will get you skins and titles, and at the very highest end, blue crystals and the such. So just wanted to differentiate.
Well,
That's why I was thinking that it was going to be the sorry to interrupt you, Zzav. That's why I was thinking it was going to be the overall PvP ranking, because like if you're introducing the vendor, you don't really need the full ranked system, as far as I know. Like, you
Right.
just needed to just climb the regular leaderboards in order to unlock the mount and the special title and the special aura and all that stuff. I didn't see that you actually needed anything else, so that's why I was a little taken back by that. I was like, what exactly is it that we're truly getting here?
Yeah.
Right, and that just goes back to the verbiage in which they used with saying time to start honing your player versus player skills. The first season of competitive proving grounds is on its way, where players can battle each other for prestige and rewards. Players will be able to queue solo for the team deathmatch mode, which the reason why, saying you can queue solo, that leads, to the, telling that it's the ranked mode, because you can only queue solo for that. But the way they described the scoring thing sounds like the leaderboard for the normal mode, right? Because they say as you win and lose throughout the season, you can track your competitive match average score. The hell is that? Like, you would say, like, it's such a weird terminology for them to use when it's just MMR or your rating, right? Like, competitive match average score. When you say that, that makes people think that it's their battle score at the end of a match. And that's what I even had people asking me that. And I had people going like, I'm really worried about this because I play support and my battle score is always low because I don't get kills or things like that. Or my damage is low. And so, your rank is determined based on your score. And so it's a little misleading, and it's weird verbiage used when, like, I don't know why Amazon is so insistent on avoiding terminology that is already established within the game or across all games. Like, MMR and rating or ELO are clear cut, pre-existing terminology that has existed for multiple competitive games across various different types of titles. You don't have to be different. Just use the stuff that works and people know.
Do you think, in a way, though, it's kind of and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you think this is a way for them to kind of allow them to have like, if something like, so when you're vague about your terminology, right? The way my understanding is, and I do this from an IT standpoint, when I'm vague about my terminology, it means that I can change it at any point. That means like I'm not directly locked into that, because I could say, well, we didn't specifically say you were getting the full ranked. What we said was this is like this, and this. So that's what I'm curious of. Like, do you think it's one of the reasons? Because we see them backpedal.
I don't think so. I think, like, legit, it's because they don't know. Because look at, like, the issues that happened on the beta. Look at the issues that have come and happened on our live client. If people, if the people that were testing and what was it, like QA testing, were playing PvP predominantly on we know about the Amazon client, we know they have their own internal client that they're testing things on before it goes live. If they were playing PvP every day, or like, hey, we're getting everybody together to make sure that we're testing this client, this part of the PvP situation, they would see these issues, right? And so it's like, okay, well, we know that these guys aren't PvPers. We're not going to force them to do QA testing for something that they're not going to know anything about. And I think that's just it. They just don't know. And that's okay to have, but I would also like to see them say, like, hey, you guys are a bunch of PvPers. We want to make sure this client's good to go. Can you guys come in for a weekend and test out some stuff, make sure everything's good with the client, so we don't have to freak out about, like, now the PvPers are feeling like redhead stepchildren on the situation of...
Well, PvPers are always the redheaded
True.
stepchildren.
Absolutely, but I mean, I feel like companies are trying to be more cognizant of their PvPers because they know we're a passionate community, you know, and they realize that, hey, League of Legends is a thing, and you can make a boatload of money from a game just based on cosmetics, you know, PvP, right? So it's like there's this like this slippery slope again, talking about like information versus understanding. Like, do these QA testers know about this PvP issue that we've seen? And we didn't even get a message about the MMR. Still, we still haven't gotten really anything. They said that we're fixing the MMR and it's still not fixed, and we haven't seen it since anything there either.
Yeah.
So I mean, and this was literally something that was brought up, you know, day one. You know, with the game, because there were Lola creators that were like, you know, I remember Sacriel was trying to do the PvP mission, because originally we had PvP like quests on the thing. And so he was trying to do the PvP missions, and you know, one of them was like, you know, get like 40 wins in team deathmatch, right? And when he logged in the next day, it was at 0, and he was like confused on stream, and he was trying to figure out why it was back at 0, and that was literally in like the first week.
Yeah.
So like this has been like a day one issue for the game. And there's just been no update on it, and that's why it's so concerning to me when I talk about, you know, the lack of communication with this type of stuff, because like this is a known issue. This has been a known issue, and you're about to release ranked, and you haven't said anything about it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little wary about what could potentially happen with ranked release, because if having a bad start to the ranked season can ruin it for the entire season. Period.
Yep.
And then it'll just be a dead form of content.
People will be like, oh, season 1 doesn't matter because the first week of season 1, people were able to like fudge the MMR, and it's like, oh man, like now as like somebody like me, like I'm looking for teams as well. Well, obviously I have a team, but like if I was in your position, Zzav, where I'm looking for teams and I want to grow and be like, hey, I got GM in season 1, and people are like, yeah, but bots fudged the MMR, so you might have just gotten a bunch of games with bots that carried you to Grandmaster. It's like, why take away, like, why have even the option to take away accolade? You know what I mean? Like, you got to limit that situation. It's a bummer that it could possibly happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to round out the last little bits of this letter, then we can move on to some other non-conspirative talk.
Oh yeah.
Are
we Debbie Downers this episode?
What are you guys picking from the complimentary super mega ultra we love you the 21st mega, like, okay, I just want to say,
you talking about the
with
fits?
my emotions, all the fits, the pets, the mounts. What are you going for? What are you guys picking?
The Fions? The 132 Fions.
Fion.
Oh my lord.
Well, you get the Fions with it.
That's all
yeah.
The legendary card pack selection chest is really important for my Lost Wind Cliff.
I'm talking about the animal skins.
Okay,
what are you guys picking here? We're gonna see some Tony the Tigers. We see some chickens, some cows, a little bit of that moo. Some cat pirates, dude. Some penguins with legs.
I'm making a sharpshooter, and I'm getting the rat costume.
Wow. 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 Okay.
No,
that's
I'm not.
toxic.
I'm not doing it.
I think. God, I don't know. I probably the angry chicken.
I think
do we have
a
better picture? Yeah, we do.
I think angry chicken is the like safe play if you don't have like anything that really just grabs you, that or you go for the derpy fucking bear on the left or like dog, whatever it is.
The Shiba?
Oh, there's the
Oh,
Shiba.
the
Yeah.
Shiba, yeah. But I think that's if you're a male. See, that's the thing. The female Shibas look weird. I don't like
They have
the,
like a
like,
beanie.
the body proportions are like wonky on it for
Dude,
that.
it-
For the Shiba one specifically.
Dude,
Yeah.
I just want the cat with the bucket hat, dude.
I
That's all
will
I'm
say
looking for.
it is absolutely mandatory if you are planning to play an artist character. It is absolutely mandatory for you to own one of these full body suits so that people do not have to look at your character. All right,
Yeah, people don't yell
Thank you.
FBI open up
exactly.
whenever you come in the game.
Oh no.
I had the cow outfit on RU. I had one of the chicken No, I had a Mokoko outfit on KR. I had
Probably gonna get
the
the Santa
Galaxy
Mokoko.
Mokoko. Okay, yeah. So about the little Mokoko pets, which one are you choosing? Zab, you
Santa
said
hat.
Santa hat? Okay.
Santa hat.
Rufio, where you at?
The multicolored one. I had that outfit in RU, and I
talking about the top
love
right?
that outfit. Yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
top right one.
That is so
Yeah.
If
cute.
as long as it changes colors, though. If it doesn't change the colors like the outfit, then I don't want it.
It does.
Oh, okay,
We never know. We don't know yet. So
Yeah,
have to
it
say
could
the
definitely
KR client.
switch up, but yeah, it. Oh man, I thought they were gonna put that outfit with it, because then it could be like me walking around with an actual mini me,
That'd be great.
and I needed that in my life.
You would need to change your name in the client to be fake Rufio SD as your main character, and then real Rufio SD as your pet because it's short. I'm sorry.
Rufio's bodyguard.
Yeah.
Just me running around.
I like that. That'd be awesome. That'd be great. I think I'm still gonna go with the Galaxy Mokoko. Like the purple Galaxy Mokoko I like, but the blue one is always clean. Like I'm all about like wanting to be fancy or very like abstract. So like in League of Legends, when those Galaxy skins came out for like Kassadin and stuff, I was like, that's like the best skin they've made. You know what I mean? But like the actual skins of the like joke skins, I don't think there's really one that I'm like, yeah, that's the one for me. Probably the rat outfit, because I know it sells for a lot on RU. It sold for crazy amounts and it was super rare.
The Musketeer.
Yeah, the Musketeer outfit.
Dude, on RU, that fit, no joke, would stayed over 100k gold.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
weird. I think it's so hideous.
I don't think it looks good. Don't get me wrong. It's about clout. It's about having something that nobody else has. That's why that guy has a supreme microphone behind him. Come on now.
Megaphone.
Sorry, megaphone. Sorry,
it's a megaphone. All right, respect my
sorry.
product.
Sorry, I was getting a
Okay.
little aggressive over here. My bad.
So, outside of the letter, we have gotten our first taste of outfits. Or sorry, outside of the items that they're giving us on the 21st of March, we've gotten our first taste of outfits in the game with the Omen outfit. Zzav, have you purchased 1, 2, 7 of these outfits?
I have purchased one Omen outfit. However,
Oh, there's a however.
I have not opened it for a specific like a specific color yet because I'm torn on which color I want to use.
Ooh.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. One of the biggest hurdles that I've been dealing with this game has been
What's going
the
on?
lack of color, like being able to add like color change anything. Would it have been easier if you could have just changed the color of this outfit?
I mean, sure.
Because for me, like that's the one thing I hope they stop. I don't like it being locked to colors. I mean, the colors are all good. I really like them, but I want to be able to just change my colors whenever I want, like freely, just be able to change them.
I agree.
So great.
But
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think it dilutes the rarity of a specific like, all right, so now you see people are definitely not picking up the Greed Omen outfit, and a lot of people are picking up the blue or what was it, the red and silver one for pretty much everywhere. So like
See, I grabbed the green and black Omen horse because that one I felt had the best color combination with it, like the green being very complementary to that dark
Mm-hmm.
black color.
Mm-hmm.
With that, little bit like dark, it's a dark green, but it has a nice bright feel to it. And so it has very nice color contrast. Whereas the red one, I would have loved the red flames on the dark horse, but I don't
Mhm.
like the like silvery, brighter color of the horse's armor and body itself
Yeah.
going with the red flames. And that was what made me like not take that one, because like typically I would totally go for like red flames on a lot of stuff. But it's like, it's the same thing looking at the Omen outfit. I would like to go for the red flame like color scheme, but I don't like the color of the gear itself when paired with it.
Yeah.
So it's torn.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, that was one thing I saw it. I'm like, man, dude, some of these I wish I can change the color up. It would make my life so much easier if I could just switch up the color.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's a remnant of, being an old armor skin. It wasn't around, it wasn't coded for the dye system, things
Mhm.
like that. I
Yeah.
would love to see, hopefully, Smilegate go back and redo the old skins and
Mhm.
just update them visually for being better looking, like better texturized now than they were when they first made them. Because it's like you look at some of the old skins and you can very clearly see the older rendering and pixels and models of those skins
Yeah.
compared to the newer ones. Like if you look at this Northern Lawmaker skin, for example, right, like even when you're zoomed in, the details are very clear and precise and
Yeah.
clean. um, but then when you look at, the really old OG skins, I always refer to my the scrapper outfit, the one with the dragon heads on it. That one you can see like the really old design of it, with it being like, kind of blurry pixels on some spots and smudgy, not like clean lines, precise cuts on the corners of things. And it just you can just tell it's old.
Yeah.
Um, and then like, while they update them to look better, also incorporating the dye system into them so that you can change them to be different colors.
Yeah.
Yes. Real quick,
Okay.
welcome in Raiders. By the way, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Level Up Together, for that raid. Much appreciated. Welcome everybody. This is Mokoko Cast. We do a podcast every couple weeks. We have our special guest Zzav on. So to continue with like the dye system in general, um, I'm more like disappointed that we don't have the golden mana silk.
Yeah.
So, like, all right. So, another thing that a lot of players don't know about is that in Russia and Korea and Japan, there is another currency. If you dismantle a piece of gear, or sorry, a piece of um avatar equipment, you get 7 golden mana silk, or golden mana shelk is what it's called. But I'm assuming it's gonna be golden mana silk in our version. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyways, and you use 14 golden mana silk and another item from the store that costs blue crystals to have a random chance to create a specific item that you're looking for. This is how you make legendary avatar equipment. Now, eventually we definitely will get this system because legendary avatar equipment is very good, right?
Mhm.
It's 2% stats on each piece rather than 1% stat, which then you could dye that stuff. It looks really good. It's what they're wearing in the Royal Roaders tournament. But anyways, this system that we have, these 3 skins that now, these 3 avatars, and I think they're worried that the golden mana silk like other system will become like pay to win, quote unquote. They're
Well,
worried about
wasn't the one of the only, like, one of the major ways you got it was from buying stuff from the cash shop?
Yeah. So the major way that you would be able to roll for the stuff is buying the there was like packages that had golden mana silk in, and it was like, oh, you get like 128 golden mana silk plus 14 of these things for like $100, and you could roll like random roll some avatar equipment.
Yeah.
And you would be able to, you know, you would then be able to sell all that stuff on the auction house, but it was like 20 new avatars per character, 20 whole sets of avatars per character. So there was like,
Right.
there, like in the game, there's way more stuff right.
Yeah,
And-
but so like even without the legendary avatars,
Mhm.
right? Like being in that system, the golden mana silk was still, you were still able to make outfits. Like, so basically golden mana silk was essentially this version of the game's transmog. Because what a lot of people have asked me is there a way to use the old armor piece sets as appearances later on? And I have to tell them, no, you can't directly, but eventually when we do get golden mana silk, you are able to go back and make that tier 1 set, that tier 2 set, like
Mhm.
appearance wise, and use those. And that, I can understand like not having the legendary avatars in right away. I don't understand not having the ability to make those really basic,
Yeah.
chaos set appearances.
Agreed. Or the Abyss Raid sets as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So like the Abyss Raid tier 2 for Paladin looks so sick. And then you wear it for like a week and then you're out. You know what I mean? And then now we have like 3 avatars. And then the tier 3 stuff looks like crap for a lot of characters. my
Yeah,
opinion.
I'm not a
So-
fan of it.
And that was the whole thing, was it was like the Abyss Raid tier 3 stuff didn't look great, but it was cool enough until you got avatar stuff. Obviously, fashion is always the end game in like every MMO. You got to look dope. But I
Very true.
want to see that system back in the game, but I think Amazon's really worried about getting that pay to win moniker on their
eventually,
game.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Eventually,
I
it's
think
gonna
they're
happen.
that. But see, like that's such a silly thing for them to even it. Like I the reason why I don't see that being the reason why
Mm.
it being added in is because their game's already been labeled fucking excessively pay to win because
Right.
people currently feel forced into using Maris
Yeah.
with
I agree.
swiping. So it's
We're-
just like, why is it not? Again, it's another one of those things of why isn't it in? Why?
Yeah.
Where's the reason? So now here we are,
Yeah.
conspiracy theories, people creating their own narratives of like what the reasoning
Literally
is.
what I
and
did.
Everybody, yeah, exactly. That's my point. If Amazon is not willing to give players the legitimate reasons, no matter how simple or basic or bad they are,
Mhm.
people will just create their own conclusions, and it's usually not a good one.
Yeah. Maybe they just want to sell some skins before they create the skins internally. What were you gonna say, Rufio?
I mean, yeah,
See,
you're good.
that makes sense though, but like that is a narrative that a lot of people will probably come up to, is that before people are able to make skins, they want to be able to make money off of selling skins first. Like that is a logical like reason that
Mhm.
people will come to.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Rufio?
Stop all the assumptions. Just eventually,
Don't
you'll get
you-
it. It'll come.
All right.
It'll come. All right. In patience.
That's what she said.
Oh, Jesus Lord. Anyways, so let's talk about everything that we've gotten thus far. Like with the month of being out. Let's talk about some highs. Some highs here. We've been just beating this game into the ground. Let's talk about some highs.
I want
okay?
to I want to clearly
Do
state.
you have any specifics?
I mean, the population of the game.
I love this game. I love Lost Ark. It's a great game. Just so everybody's
Yeah,
aware.
same.
This game is
Absolutely.
fantastic. I
I
love this game.
I feel like this has kind of scratched a lot of that MMO itch that I feel like a lot of people have had recently.
Mhm.
Because we haven't really had like a good like MMO. I feel like everything's been like what's the last like major good MMO that you're like, damn.
What qualifies as major good?
Oh, what was like the last good MMO you played?
What quantifies
Like the last. I mean, your version of good. Like what?
But
what
see
was
that,
the last-
that's the thing. That's why it's such a,
No,
like,
yeah,
a
but the-
difficult thing. It's
of
so
course.
subjective because like I could be like, you could have somebody who's going to come out here and tell you that fucking Arcade Unchained was the last greatest thing that they played, and Arcade Unchained was so many atrocities with it, or
Oh.
somebody's
What
going
I'm
to tell you
saying- what I'm
Sword of
saying is, like,
Legends was great.
in the last
Right.
in the last like year or two, right? So like we've had MMOs that have come. We saw like Crowfall came, went up, and went down. It wasn't really a big topic of conversation amongst a larger audience of MMO players. Sword of Legends kind of did the same thing.
Quick
New World,
question.
as much as that's not a go ahead.
Quick question. Zzav, did you see what's it called? The Liberty and Throne, or Throne and Liberty?
Yes.
Okay. Real quick. What do you think Jake Song can do it again? NC Soft can do it again. With
Okay,
like
I was like, hold on, wait, Jake Song's not NC Soft.
Oh, I thought he was still attached to it. My bad. Sorry,
Um,
Jake.
Well, yeah, because it's been no longer dubbed a Lineage title, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because originally it was Project TL, Project the Lineage, but now it's Throne and Liberty. But you know, it'll be interesting. You know, there's still just no information on it. The footage that was shown does not look like that's going to hold up as like actual in-game gameplay type thing.
It looks like a mobile game to me.
Well, people say the same thing about Lost Ark.
I mean, yeah. You could say Lost Ark and Hit look exactly the same, but
Ouch.
I mean, one's a good game, and Hit is what happened to that. Anyways, but okay, the last truly good MMO for me is like 14, and like
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Right, but so here's the thing to take into account. People keep talking about there haven't been good MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that there have actually been plenty of good MMOs over the last decade. There may not necessarily have been new titles.
I'm not saying the last decade. I'm saying like the last couple years. Like the MMO
Right,
audience has been
right.
clamoring to find. If you look, like if you realistically look at the market, right? There's a ton of games that are coming out that are good. I'm not saying that any particular game is a bad game, but they haven't really had a really strong retention or a lot of limelight shown on them. Like I said, we had Crowfall that came out, kind of came and went. We had Solo that came out. It was an interesting game when I was a part of the beta testing for it. That kind of came and went. And then we had Alien that's come out that like kind of came and went. Like we haven't really had like an MMO that's really had a lot of like, I don't know, like limelight shined on it and has had an excessive amount of exposure. Is what I'm saying.
Right. I understand. But I guess it's more of like, why does it have to be new? Because there are MMOs with multiple expansions that have released that are doing well, right? Like Final Fantasy just had its biggest expansion ever.
There are some people that may not be prone to that game, or like same with like WoW. Like there's people that are Exodus. I'm just saying in general. Do you feel like Lost Ark has scratched an itch for players that are both looking to get into a new MMO or that are looking to change MMOs? Because I know like WoW kind of had that exodus where players like, I'm looking for something else.
Sure, for some people, absolutely, right? Like 100%. I mean, you know, the proof is in the numbers. You know, there's, you know, it's still peaking at 500K concurrent players. There are obviously an audience of players that have a strong interest in the game, and there are a lot of people who have been waiting for this game. Right? It's, you know, but you know, the question is how long will it last for those people? Because typically the thing is with MMOs, a lot of the time is a lot of games, a lot of MMOs when they do release, you know, they have like a really good like 3-month launch window, and then they, you know, fall off. It's question of how quickly will people burn out, how quickly will people get bored of it, how quickly will people actually retain to it. I think that we are still in that honeymoon phase of the launch for this game right now, and it won't be another 2 months from now until we see where realistically we'll probably become close to stabilizing in terms of our like player base numbers. And I think that, you know, we're much more likely to sit around that 250K you know, concurrent player count more than the 500K. I don't think that the game will maintain 500K. I do think 250K is very likely for Lost Ark to maintain, which by no means is bad, right? Like that's still good.
Yeah. I think if we're hitting 250K, I mean, we're never going to be strapped for like people to go do raids and stuff for like any of that. We're always going to have that consistent player base that is progressing in a healthy way. Whereas you had like, if you didn't play RU at the right time, like you just didn't get to do content, right?
That's very true.
That was definitely a bummer. But I think personally we're gonna stay closer to like 350, 400K. after,
think
and then we'll have resurgences every month with the patch stuff.
well, I think once Elden Ring, the hype for Elden Ring kind of like simmers down and people have kind of gotten their playthroughs, their new game pluses, I think we're gonna see players coming back to Lost Ark. I think there was a lot of hype for Lost Ark coming out, obviously, and then with Elden Ring also being another
Mhm.
major AAA title that a lot of gamers were looking forward to, I think that it kind of took away from players, which is to be expected. I mean, any game can expect that. I'm sure there are other games outside of Lost Ark that probably may have took a hit in their player base when Elden Ring dropped because there was just so much
Oh yeah.
limelight around the game as a whole. So I wouldn't be surprised if we sit around the 300. I'm thinking a couple months from now I want to ballpark around 350 400,000 of consistent players. As long
Who?
as they're consistently bringing out new heroes, content, and they're maintaining transparency and not releasing broken things,
Yeah.
I think there's no reason for us not to have a pretty strong player base.
What's the next big game that's coming out? Obviously, we just saw Witch Queen and Elden Ring, right? What's the next big title?
Let's see.
For
WoW just
Uh,
got their expansion update, right? Like they just got their another
They're
expansion with the newest
9.2.
raid.
right.
Yeah.
Harry
So
Potter,
I
yeah,
mean,
guys.
in terms of
Uh,
released, it'll probably be the next WoW expansion, which will be within less than a year's time.
let's
Yeah.
say
For
Starfield is coming.
Okay, whatever.
okay,
Starfield's not coming
so
this year. Okay, you
Uh,
liar.
like
no, it
like
is. It's coming 2022. That's what they're saying. I promise you. We had Dying Light 2, but that
right
was kind
until
of
it
a
gets
quiet
pushed
release.
back.
Yeah. All right.
Um, yeah, there's. I'm like scrolling through a list of everything that they've kind of announced, and
Diablo 4 is like late this year, right? I'm talking about I'm
I
talking
thought
about within the
I
everything
don't
next
got
think
few
it's I
months.
don't
shelved,
think I'm
dude.
pretty sure D4 got put delayed indefinitely at one point.
Yeah, I thought
Uh,
everything got shelved for a minute so they can reevaluate their upper
Yes.
management and then go from
Yes. You're
there.
right.
So I don't know if that's gonna make a like
yeah.
in terms of like major AAA title, we might maybe see something from Ashes Creation, another
No.
major beta test that they drop. Maybe
Nope.
not the full game release, but
I
Nope.
mean, you're on the end. You've played Ashes,
Nope.
Zev, right?
That is you will be lucky to see Alpha 2 begin by the end of this year. That game is
Really?
nowhere near
Yeesh.
done, especially because right now they're
Mm,
converting everything into Unreal Engine 5 now,
That's true. I forgot
yeah,
about
right?
that too.
yeah.
So that
Keep
has to all
forgetting that's
be
a
that
thing.
all has to be transferred over, coded over, and like that is now what they're working with. So
But
while there are things that are similarities and it is a better
Mm,
engine for them to work with, it
mhm,
is still a newer engine. There are still going to be it's an early engine, right? This is one of the
mm,
things I actually do think that while Unreal Engine 5 is supposed to be a better engine than Unreal Engine 4 to work with, um, it is still new. It's not even like I don't even think Unreal Engine 5 is still like officially fully released to the public yet. So it's like it's still going to run into bugs and issues
mm,
that they wouldn't have necessarily ran into with Unreal Engine 4. Right. So I actually
y-
think that potentially this could slow development of
mm.
Ashes depending on the issues that they run into it.
so this brings me
Do
to the point as well. What were you gonna say, Rufio? I'll
you,
bring my point up in a minute.
do you think with like once NA and the NAEU kind of gets settled in, do you guys ever see Smilegate updating the engine to a newer engine?
I
Do you
don't
ever see
think
us going
so.
from Unreal 3 to 4 or 5?
I
Oh,
think that it depends on how long they actually plan to continue to do things for this game. Because if they only see this game going for like a few more years as like this game without them making something new instead,
Mm,
right? I don't see them worrying about updating to a new engine, but at the same time, the game doesn't really require them to update to a new engine. The
yeah.
game runs well as it is. The game looks good as it is.
Mm,
I think I think it would be better for them to go back and redo a lot of the old artwork to update it to what the new artwork looks like more or less in terms of like the graphical fidelity of things and the quality of it. But there's nothing that really is a necessity or need for them to update the engine because unfortunately with it being made on Unreal Engine 4
mhm.
or Unreal Engine 3, they would have to completely remake the game from the ground up. to put it on Unreal Engine 4 or 5, because Unreal Engine 3 does not port over to Unreal Engine 4.
Mhm.
It is not designed to do that. So they would have to completely remake the game in the new engine. And that is a lot of work to do when you take a look at what they do with LOA on, and they talk about everything that they do over the year.
Mhm.
They are so overworked as it already is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other
Like,
thing about this,
I could not imagine them trying to remake the game in a new engine while simultaneously keeping up with the pacing of content that they are
Yeah.
creating and delivering on.
yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
I think the other thing about this that we're not touching on is that in its home territory in Korea, having a game that is like graphically incredible is not the biggest thing, because look at StarCraft. Why StarCraft 2 or why StarCraft 1 was so successful. Oh yeah, Rufio just ran out of the room. But um
I'll give you a better one.
oh yeah.
A better one is friggin' Dungeon Fighter.
Dungeon Fighter Online, prime example. Again,
Yeah.
agreed. I was gonna bring up. I was gonna say League of Legends, Dungeon Fighter, and StarCraft. You have these three games that, in general, they weren't like the most incredibly graphic games in the world. The reason that they were successful is because they were easily accessible, they were free, and you could go to a PC arcade and play and do whatever you do or would have done at home in the PC arcade, right?
Right.
So you have this model of where these games come from, that the graphics don't end up mattering all that much. It matters about how good the gameplay is, how good it is in a competitive sense, and how good, for different reasons. Obviously, DFO and League of Legends are the competitive sense. StarCraft is, sorry, but you have these games that are easily accessible. You don't need to like strain your team to create a whole new game graphically so the game looks good. You just need to keep pumping out good gameplay and good experiences, because that's like, at the end of the day, us upgrading to DirectX 11 is really all we needed, right?
Right. That was a very like vital update
Yeah.
in terms of like performance and FPS.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's one thing. It's one thing to update like the processing of the game. It's another thing to update like, the graphics to it.
Yeah, I don't see them throwing down
Mm-mm.
the gauntlet and being like, "Hey, yeah, we're upgrading to Unreal 5 for Lost Ark. Bear with us for the next year and a half while we drain content to put it into."
Yeah.
And it's just, there's no real reason for it, and I don't care. Like, I think the game looks beautiful. Like, I agree with you, Zzav. Rufio, I assume you agree as well. You play Blade, and all your skills look cool.
Yeah, I guess. Sure.
So I just
Alright.
like, my whole thing about it is like, yeah, there's just no real.
I want to see what they're gonna do with the new class. Like, okay, so they're talking about going back and then kind of reworking classes.
Mhm.
I want to see what they do to kind of bring
I have a
some of the
question.
older classes to light and make them a little bit more flashier, I guess.
I have a question.
Hmm?
Where did we all saw this on Loa On, right? This isn't like a collective Mandela effect where we're all losing our shit. Like, they talked about it in Loa On, right?
That they
What?
were gonna update,
Like updating classes and like
characters.
bringing characters.
Yeah.
So they specifically it's one of those translation things, right? It's more of they're looking to update some older classes' abilities to bring them more in line with the modern class design that they currently are going with. It's not necessarily that they're reworking them.
Right. It's not like a
In
League of
terms
Legends
of
rework.
Right. There are some classes. So basically, what's going to happen, and the director talked about this in his like random update that he did recently, where he said the class balance overhaul, like the overworking, like the class balancing, the rebalancing that they're going to do across all the classes, to expect that in April. But things involving identity changes, because there are some classes in which they're going to redo or change or adjust the identities of them, like Scrapper, Destroyer, etc. Those won't happen in April, because those are going to take more time for them to look at, design, redesign, because they want to update the identities without having to completely redesign a class or
Yeah.
rework a class. They want to keep the classes functioning pretty much the same as they are, but they want to change the identity functionality of some of those classes.
Okay. Well, okay. So that gives us more of a concrete answer to my question was we're not all losing our shit thinking that everybody's getting reworked, right? It's
Yeah.
more of like, okay, it's cool. So that, I mean, they've also said that they want to add a new skill for every class. I remember that from low on. They've also said that they're adding the
Right, like a third awakening, it'd be
the-
like a new Giga Ultimate skill that would be separate from the awakening.
the third awakening is a whole like they're saying that's in terms of espers, right? And if people from North American players, European players, you don't know about espers are a skill that you have a bar in a Legion raid where you call in an assist, like this is Marvel vs. Capcom, and Thyrane comes in and slaps the hammer down on some mob or something, or like a boss or something like that. You can call in and it's like a title, or you call it an airstrike, hang out with, or summon a limit break, or you call in one of the homies that you did the storyline with. Wei comes in, punches that tiger through somebody, and does a bunch of stagger damage or whatever it is. Anyways, they're going to be more in line with that, like very, very monumental moments that, like, okay, I was saying this is just speculation as a support player, that if you were able to use your third awakening, it would be like a global res for your team that you could like, or like a big immunity shield that you give and you just like have to stand still or something like that. That's what my idea is. But they also talked about every class is going to get a new skill, like a baseline regular skill. So every class has between like 30 to 34 skills, I think is a max, 32, something like that. So adding another skill kind of brings more to the table. What happens when this new skill that they're all creating for all these classes is definitely a go-to skill for both PvE and PvP?
You hold on. You can only use that skill once, just so we're clear. Here,
The
if you
third,
want- I don't know if you guys remember.
the newest
Yeah.
skill?
Yeah, you can only use it once, like in an entire raid. You can
No,
literally
that's the
only use it
awakening.
once.
That's the awakening.
Oh, you're talking about like
A
You're
brand new
talking about like
baseline
a
new
new
skill.
ability
Yes.
that becomes available for you to slot as a
Yes.
skill. Like you still have 8
Oh,
skills,
I
but
don't
a
remember
new
that.
skill added. I don't necessarily remember that either.
I don't remember that one.
Okay.
I only remember the one where they were talking about the fact that they were gonna add just the like a new super awakening essentially, and you only could do like you can
Right.
only use it once in an entire raid.
Yeah,
Okay.
you basically take one of your current skills and turn it into an Esper skill itself.
Yeah, and it was like a one and done.
That
basically.
was what I
Now,
had read, but I'd also
With what you're saying, DJ, I mean, so what if it does?
What do you mean?
Right. Like
Oh,
you're
that's
saying,
exciting. Like I mean,
you're saying like what if this becomes like a go-to skill for PvE?
Oh,
and
yeah, that's
PvP? I'm
awesome.
like saying so
Like,
what, right? Like
yeah,
okay,
no, that's-
great. So something changes for some of these classes after
yeah.
all these years.
please help.
Like, you know,
This meta is getting like I've been playing the same 8 skills, on Paladin for the last year because there's just no reason to take anything else.
yeah, it's
So-
not like, I think Blade is the perfect example of a class where you actually have multiple different skills in which you can run and are viable, and you won't necessarily see the same Blade setup across the board because there will always be people running different things. Some people run like full tenacity setups versus other things that some other people run. Like I see, on KR, there are people like they love Hand of Avesta on KR, which is so interesting.
What's Hand of Avesta, Rufio?
Hand of Avesta is
the charging ability. It's called Soul Absorber in NA.
God,
You basically
these
stand in
names.
place and you stand in place and you charge an attack.
Oh,
and
the
then you
uppercut.
launch forward. No, it's just a launch forward, and then
Oh.
you from once you launch forward, you do another big slashing move right after.
Gotcha,
It
yeah, yeah.
is. It is a very high damaging skill, but it doesn't beat out Blitz Rush, which was headhunting in RU.
Yeah,
Blitz Rush is
that's-
that'll never go anywhere. That's a skill that will literally always be a part of.
that was something
every-
that I had fun getting corrected on
Obliterated by?
repeatedly. Well, getting corrected on repeatedly during casting Royal Rotors, because whenever the blades were going and they used headhunting,
Mhm.
I would say, or they would use Blitz Rush, I would call it Headhunter because it was called Headhunter in Russia. Whereas
Yeah.
Headhunting in NA is the stun, which was called Cunning Tick in Russia. So whenever I kept mentioning headhunting, people thought I was talking about the stun, not
Very confusing.
the ranged slash that hits ridiculously hard for being a quick ranged wide AoE.
Right.
No, it's
Hate that ability.
super confusing on some of the naming conventions. It's still taking I'm still taking time to get used to it. I keep saying, and I will forever say this, dude, I hope that the translators make a translation for the NA client that allows me to go back so I can just call it like how I know it. Like I'll hear like someone will be talking to me and they'll be explaining like their engravings and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like that's not in the game." And they're like, "It oh, I'm sorry. Let me talk to you stupid."
Bro, okay.
Like
I have the same situation. Sword of Justice in RU was Holy Sword in NA, but also in Korea. So they had changed it from Holy Sword in Korea, or was like called Heaven Sword, or whatever is the translated to. But then now Sword of Justice in North America is the one sword that you could just like cast and it hits in one area, or you could do like the third tripod where you summon a bunch of swords in one area. That being Sword of Justice just tilts the shit out of me. Because Sword of Justice sounds like such a cool skill. Holy Sword is like, whatever. That's a holy sword. It's yellow. It comes down from the sky. It's a holy sword. That should have been switched for me. Like, I don't know.
How is your guys' overall with the talk of like us being so confused with the naming conventions and everything? How's your guys' overall experience been transitioning from KR, RU, and JP to like a full NA client? Are you guys fully acclimated, or are there things that you're still learning? Are there NPCs that you're still struggling to address them by their NA names? For me, I know I haven't like I feel like I've fully kind of like acclimated to like the naming convention of the world itself. But there are like certain NPCs that I'm so confused at who they're talking about. Like when people talk about Broshaza, I keep thinking that that's a made up person. Like I don't think that they're real. And then they're like, dude, it's Albershot, and I'm like, just call them that. Respect her. All right,
Yeah.
respect her.
Respect the
Call her
queen.
by her name. Yeah. There's some areas that I'm definitely a little confused about. But how would you guys say you guys have acclimated so far?
As
1 month with the game being out.
as our resident scrapper main.
I've acclimated to the names overall. I don't necessarily agree with them or are willing to concede to calling them such things at times. Like I still don't agree with calling Death Sentence Death Rattle. I don't know why it needs to be Death Rattle when it can just be Death Sentence. I still
because
call it Death Sentence.
because it doesn't kill anybody.
Okay,
But
you're not wrong.
Woo!
Okay.
All right.
All right, listen, I'm well
Shakes-
aware. I'm
shakes you on
well
the brink of death.
I'm well aware that my DPS class's full charged bar ability that consumes everything and is supposed to be our hardest hitting skill with a 100%, 120% damage modifier hits for less than the support paladin's Sword of Justice. Okay, I'm
Hey.
well aware. Don't worry, your nerf is coming, big boy.
Hey, sorry. I'm
Um,
sorry about being
dude,
so
I stayed up one
swagadocious.
night watching Zzav, and I'm like, you know what? I got a character boost available. I'll fucking boost the scrapper. I boosted the scrapper, and I'm like, why the fuck did I do this? Like, why did I do this to myself? Everyone's like, dude, why did you do War Dancer? And I'm like, I don't even know why I didn't do War Dancer because I was watching a Zzav stream and he looked like he was having fun. I was like, I'm not having fun
What?
right now. I was like, and then like everyone comes in, they're like, well, you have to choose a skill, right? Like to choose like what side you're gonna go, yellow or green. And I'm like, but wait, what? And they're like, oh yeah, that's the whole premise of the class. You gotta pick a side.
We were
Like,
doing
yin and yang.
we were doing some scrims the other night, and Zav's like, I can't press buttons. I'm not allowed to use half of my class right now. I can't help you. And I was just like, yeah, I mean that's
whenever you use Death Sentence, no matter how much energy you have, it consumes all of your energy, and so now you can't use True Order Eruption, you can't use your Ground Pound, you can't use this other stuff. But at the same time, if you have low yellow energy, at that same time when you use Death Sentence, you literally have like 7 of your abilities grayed out. You literally can't use anything, and it's terrifying.
So with the scrapper in PvP, right? Since you can't use books, you have to be split between a yellow green build.
Correct.
Like
It's
you don't
4
get
and
a
4.
choice.
Yep, it's 4 and 4.
Man,
Yep,
Yeah.
you have to balance the energy
I
resource.
should ask
And
questions.
that's our identity. That's it. Is just it's a fancy mana bar.
Yeah.
It's a glorified mana bar of just balancing these two separate resources instead of having mana. That is our identity.
I'm never staying up late and watching another stream and thinking I can. Yeah, it looks fun. I caught myself the other night. I was like, man, sharpshooters low key look like they be bussing. Like I think I might roll a
God,
sharpshooter. And I was like, I'm
man.
gonna take my ass to bed, bro. I'm getting tired now. I'm
You
talking
really are.
blasphemy.
You be all right, man.
I was like, I got some knowledge transfers available. I got 600 gold. We could do this. No, I regret it.
No, man. So okay, so back to going back to the topic. How do you feel, Zzav, about the that you've gotten accustomed to naming translations
Yeah,
or transition?
I mean, in terms of NPC names, I wasn't ever too involved with NPC names on Russia for the most part. Like I knew Abrashad, obviously, right? But
Mhm.
like, I didn't know the names of any of like the Punica people. I didn't know, Nia, Sasha,
Hold on.
and all that stuff.
You just said Punica, and it just like fucking shot my brain for a second there. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like it legit. Like I was like, wait, what? Where
Go
the fuck
the
is Punica?
second. I think it's the third. The third zone you go to, if you stand in the middle by an NPC, they literally say the name. And I was like, I stopped for a second. I'm like, did you just mispronunciate the name of this place? And I'm like, wait, hold on. No, it's me. I'm the dumbass here. Wait a minute.
That name is a lie. Haha. Anyways, but well, I mean, I've gotten kind of accustomed. I started calling Beatrice Vicus as soon as they released the name of what, because I was like, if I don't start calling her this, then like we're just gonna sit here and I'm gonna sound like I'm that guy that doesn't. I'm like old man yells at cloud. I want things to be the same always.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll switch to Brelshaza and Vicus. We've talked about it on the podcast before, but I don't know. I feel I'm all right. I feel like I'm doing okay.
Has there been any
Hanging in there.
changes made from the RUKR client that you guys don't particularly care for? From what we currently have now?
What, like name wise?
Just in general, anything that will like in our game versus what we've seen
I
that
mean,
have kind of
I
like
feel like we've touched on a lot of that already. Like, for example, everything that's missing.
yeah, well,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean, obviously we want the missing items, but like I'm trying to think, is there much? Because like all this is really just content that we've been kind of juiced on, right? Right? That's basically
Yeah.
the general premise. Okay.
I don't think there's really anything that I particularly think about where I'm like I miss that from. I mean, ranked. That's really it.
Yeah.
Like I miss having a chance for people to stop talking.
This will be one thing that is a potential change that will be really obnoxious for PvP players. If you remember, because there hasn't been an official statement on this yet in terms of the notes, and we're hopefully going to get this update or like notice from Amazon this week that is hopefully before the day before the release of it, right? Like that was the big issue with the Argos releases.
Mhm.
They announced Argos
The night
less than
of.
24 hours before it came out, right?
Yeah.
I would hate for a PvP article the day before. I would love to get it on like Monday or something, not, the night before the patch hits. Because on the leaks that initially was there for the roadmap, right, because like they came out and said that that the leaked stuff was originally official,
Mhm.
right, stuff. One of the website articles had that ranked was going to require people to be
Level
302 level
yeah.
50.
I hope they don't do
That
that.
would be very sag mode for a lot of the PvP players.
Yeah. I agree.
302 level 50. I feel like that's pretty straightforward. Or you mean for like when they re-roll like a different class or something?
Re-roll a different class, or
Yeah.
they want to make a
Okay.
character on another server and whatnot, right? Like instead of getting to level 26, you're gonna have to fully level to level 50 again and
Here's
get 302 gear set. So like, that'll be annoying until they release paid boosts if they ever
Mhm.
do.
Here's this. Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. guys see that coming anytime soon?
Paid
Like,
boosts?
yeah.
I hope so.
I think it could
I don't
potentially
think it
come. I
will.
think it could potentially come with the first class release, but maybe not.
I think
It's
so.
just-
I mean, like people have talked to me and or asked me in my chat. They're like, "So how do you think they're going to release Destroyer? We're going to have to level all the way up again?" And I was like, "No, dude. They're going to release it as a pack. Like you're going to be able to pay $25 and get the Destroyer pack. You get the skin. You'll get a mount or whatever it is. They'll have extra, and then you'll get a boost to 1302." And they're like, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Because." I mean, you're playing the game right now. Why would you want to do all of that over again? Like, that's the whole
Yeah.
point of these boosts is that you don't have to go through tier 1 and tier 2 again and spend like weeks getting your character to 1302.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I keep
I
thinking
don't
about it more and more. And I'm like, man, like I like the knowledge transfer. Don't get me wrong, but the other part of me is like, I've leveled so many times that
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm good.
Imagine
really know
re-rolling a
about that.
character for PvP. You're like, man, I need to play Bard this season. Like, it's just really strong. And as a PvP player, like, I just can't make sharpshooter work. That's a phrase somebody has to say in real life, you know? And like having to level it all the way to 50, get it to 302 gear. Like, no. Why? Why just let me do it
Yeah.
at 26? We've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah.
This is the new system. Like, let us go. But so speaking of like PvP, I did want to touch on real quick, friends. Zzav has been doing the stuff for the English cast for Royal Roaders. And Royal Roaders concluded last night. I've talked to Zzav about it before we went live. Real quick, Rufio, did you watch the match?
No, no. I was trying to get a boss room that you were just rushing me out of. I
Anyway,
did not get a chance to
Zzav,
watch it, but
Well-
Zap, give me the details. Give me the deets. Drop it on me, dude. Give me the heat. Are they gonna get rid of one of two things? Are they gonna nerf some classes, or are they gonna get rid of that terrible team comp,
Well,
or just get rid of the character? They got rid of the Bard. I'd be okay.
unfortunately, actually, real quickly, I want to answer Voz's question.
Yeah.
Voz, that would not be a situation as you are unable to buy paid boosts until you have leveled a character first manually. So you would not have to worry about people boosting characters right away and not understanding how the game works.
like full new player.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, but if you play the game, like, yeah, you would be able to just like boost a destroyer and be like, oh, well, I have 8 new skills and this is how my dash works. It's a little bit different.
Sure.
Yeah, you're already playing
Now-
the game, you know what I mean? But if a new player can't just come in and get a paid boost and then just
No,
Go.
you have to do 50 first.
Now, unfortunately, I do not understand Korean. I don't speak Korean. The director did come out and speak after the tournament, before the
scared.
award ceremony, and somebody did. I did get somebody to tell me at least a little bit of what he was saying, and that was that this Royal Roaders was really more of a testing ground for things to come of what they're looking to do in the future. So this was just a test of future events that are going to be coming. So I think that there's a lot more that they have planned for this. I think they're going to take this as an experience to get feedback and see how they could change it going forward. That could mean changing up team comps. That could mean changing up the class balancing situation. I think that there will be some classes getting nerfs. Paladin probably for its damage, maybe a little bit.
You think so?
I do. There were multiple times where you shut down the DPS on the other team, and the Paladin came through as the top DPS in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
I don't think that the support should be in a situation where they're doing number 1 DPS while also taking low damage and mitigating the damage for their team as well.
Hold on.
Like
I think
that's such an overloaded kit.
my personal opinion about this situation as a support player, okay, is that I don't want damage as low as Bard in this game. It doesn't feel good, right? To enter into a PvP match and the only thing that you can do is defensively change the game, right?
Mhm.
And I would like to see our support skills nerfed. I don't want to see like a game where you have
Listen,
these.
man.
I want, bro. I want to see Ruffians. God Sent Law. I want to see Rhapsody toned down. I want them both to be at like 40%. They don't need to be 70%. That shit is insane. Those skills are almost must take because of how strong they are. Not only do they have stagger components, but like Bard having a tier 2 CC immunity on their damage reduction, like
But
holy shit.
Do you really think a support class should have an execution skill that does more damage than DPS classes?
No, not in that regard, but I do think that if a support is playing well, not taking damage, that they're able to change the game in an offensive way.
Sure. But I'm more so saying like Paladin is likely to see a nerf to Sword of Justice when you literally have an ability that comes through and hits harder than a lot of DPS classes' abilities.
I agree. I think that Paladin's Sword of Justice will get nerfed. I think the tripods are going to get nerfed on it. And I think that the transition becomes less about it being a, like, you have to hit the first portion. It goes into the tier 2 tripod for Paladin. This is like a whole meta discussion that I think is going to change about Paladin. But what I would like to see is them bring the skills that Bard does damage with and like make them a little bit better so that a Bard can actually make an impact offensively in a game. I want to see, like, Gunlance and Paladin already have that, but their defensive capabilities are too strong. So I don't think that sort of Holy Sword is in the best place because it is such an overloaded, like, damage wise skill. But I don't want to see us lose all of our damage just so that, like, we're not used anymore. You know what I mean?
Soundholic Dawn's Guard. That's the ability from Bard. It does pretty good damage. But
you're still seeing
like when I say Paladin to see a nerf, I'm like specifically talking about like Sword of Justice. I don't mean like you're gonna see like Paladin damage nerfed across the board. I'm like specifically talking Sword of Justice.
Their kit is a prime example of why I say that Paladin is the least strong support, because in a 1v1 setting they are one of the worst classes in the game, and when you decide to isolate the Paladin, if you don't have any like a blade peeling, a striker peeling, like, you can absolutely isolate a Paladin and take him out of a team fight, floor simulate him for a long time. His defensive capabilities are not as strong as a Bard. It's just he has a lot of damage. I would like to see.
Yet the Paladin was the support on both
finalist teams. I agree. I think, but also we're looking at look at like the EU meta and the NA meta that's evolving, right? Or the RU meta.
We don't have the same classes.
Right. Agreed. But also they weren't allowed to use Artist. But the RU's meta that evolved, what was the number one class, the support class that was played in the higher tier RU game? In their tournament. It was Gunlance. And Shizia playing Paladin in an unorthodox build. And then NA started coming in and they're like, all right, so Paladin's really strong. Let's start running with it. I think as a Paladin player, like, I have, honestly, with the new evolving of this meta, the classes that we currently have, I'm almost being forced off of Paladin. I don't think it's worth playing in tournament.
All right, that's fine. I mean, that's the reality of tournament play, is that not every class will be viable for tournament play. Yeah. And that's why, fortunately, there is no team ranked, because that would be the situation that you'd be forced into. You would be forced off of playing a class if you actually wanted to play team ranked, because otherwise you're not going to find people to do team ranked with, which is like literally what World of Warcraft has dealt with for decades, right? If you're not playing, one of the top 6 meta classes, nobody wants to run a comp with you.
I think Rufio, as an outside perspective, what do you feel on this? What do you feel about the support meta in the current state?
Dude, listen. I'm just trying to be good at my own fucking class. You think that I give a flying F? What the f you guys are doing? Bro, listen, as far as I'm concerned, buff the blade, all right? I should not be getting, I mean, like,
Okay.
I should not be getting stunned every 24 seconds, dog. Listen, all
You
right?
shouldn't be. That means
Uh,
you shouldn't be
God. Just buff
already.
the blade. Get the paladin out of the game. Make the bard not be able to put those slow, like reduce the slow orb thing down to like 1. Make artillerists not be able to dash 45 feet with their stun. Bro, look, listen. All right, it should just be a blade on blade warfare. Just delete every class
Oh
but the
my
blade.
god.
Let's just
Okay,
say that. Buff
so
blade win. But no, overall, I see what you guys are saying. It's a little nerve-wracking to see the like overall like everything that's happening. It is a little nerve-wracking. I will definitely say that. Like it's very like holy crap because like you guys are like learning these classes to be prepared for like actual like PvP, and it's like, oh shit, what happens when they do come out and they drop this really big huge adjustment on you guys, and now
Mhm.
you guys have to make these changes. You're forced into these changes. It's definitely tough. It is very, very tough, but again, I'm trying to just learn my own class, so I have no eggs
Right.
in this basket.
And that's where I think it'll be interesting to see which direction they take with this, because we will either see changes to the rule set that they allow comp wise, or we will see changes to the ways like skills work in PvP
mm,
for supports. If they want to continue to allow double support, I don't think that you see double support stay without some sort of change to the functionality of the way damage reduction or shielding works in a PvP environment for arena specifically.
I think
Um,
I mean they're already nerfed shielding in general 50% in PvP environment. So
Right, and
uh,
it was
and
already
it's
proven. It's
still
still
strong.
very strong. It's still
Yeah.
very impressive because you have classes that are able to provide their own shielding, like artillerist, and you double that down with paladin shielding and bard shielding. I mean, there was a moment last night in that finals match where there was a shield available every like 2 seconds. Like there was a moment where for 30 seconds there was zero downtime on shielding on red team. Like there
Yeah.
was always a shield on someone for red. And it was insane to see that amount of constant shielding uptime, damage reduction, like damage mitigation uptime available.
That doesn't you're not even counting the other 2 damage reduction,
Right,
right?
that's not even including like Rufion's and Rhapsody. This is literally just like straight up shielding at the disposal of red with that double support artillerist comp. And it was
Mhm.
just it was crazy to see like the sustainability that could come out from it. And like you actually are gonna see it here with what you're playing right now. This artillerist is going to be dropping down to 25% HP soon, and he is going to stay at that HP range forever now, right there. And like
Like
you
he
will
didn't die
not.
first game, did he?
I think
I
he
think
died
he did like
finally
13
towards at
fight.
like the very end. I think it was 5-1. He becomes the first death at like the 30
That's
second
right. I
marker,
remember. Yeah.
but he is going to be in this HP range for like the next minute, straight up. Like he will not fall. There's a shield right there that comes out along with the Rhapsody. And so like this shielding is going to go on, and then you're going to get the Bard healing to come out and stabilize him more right there. There's the Bard heal, which is going to push his health up while he has a shield to mitigate any damage that he's taking while he's getting healed. There's
The,
another shield coming out right there along with his own shield, right? Because he goes into turret mode. And there's another shield, and then there's an ult shield. And it's just,
the thing is,
it just doesn't go away.
the thing about this game is that in a in this setting, there is not much healing in this game,
Correct.
right?
I have a question.
Mhm.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Does the NA PvP tournament organizers learn from this event and ban this type of team comp from happening?
They're already banned.
A double support?
They're already banned in
Right.
North
Do
America.
you think if we got a Royal Roaders NA, we would take these same KR rules? Or do you think this is a stepping stone for paving out a more
I think
That's why I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because
this is nuts. Like watching this, when I was watching this back this morning, this match was like wild. I was just blown away at how 2 supports were just maintaining keeping someone alive. Because
Yeah,
when I
look, this
play
artillery still
PvP,
hasn't died. Hey, look
Yeah.
at his HP range. He still hasn't dropped from it. At
He's
the end of
actually
this
gone
match-
up. He's gone up since
Yeah.
we first talked about it.
At the end of this match, he has 310k damage taken, but only 1 death.
yeah,
But his
that's
health
nuts.
pool quantifies for 2 deaths plus. So
Mhm.
like he literally gets healed and shielded for more than an entire life bar
Mhm.
throughout this match, which is absurd to see in that regard, considering this isn't even like chicken mat, right? This is some shit that you would expect to see on chicken mat stat wise. So like there he goes, finally dies, like with 40 seconds remaining in the match. So for like 140 seconds practically, he didn't die while being at that HP range. That is
Yeah, that's wild.
ridiculous.
Absolutely insane.
But that's why I, to talk about that for the crossover. Sorry, DJ.
No, go ahead.
Is if they don't change the double support situation for Korea and they don't make any changes to supporting with shielding and whatnot, which I would be really surprised to see if they didn't make a change to that. I think them banning double support though is a much more likely like thing to see. But if they did get to the point where Royal Roaders became an international type event, I think you would see NA and EU forced to change their own like community tournament rule sets to match Royal Roaders. That way, that was a proper practice environment for what it was happening, because it would throw a lot of people off having different rule sets when this massive official invitational, like, sponsored event, Royal Roaders, essentially Worlds, had its rule set and you were playing something different the entire time, and now you're going up against comps that you never practiced against and you're now having to deal with because NA had one rule set banned, but KR is like, well, we don't care, this is what we're doing for our tournament. So like I think 100% NA would be forced to change their rule set to match. You would not see KR change their rule set to match NA by any means whatsoever.
No. And that's the thing. One thing I did want to touch on is that in a general sense, because of how shielding works in this game, it is a high skill cap idea, because there is not a lot of healing in the game in PvP, but double support makes it so there's actually an abundance of healing. So like Paladin has healing on their shield on expiration, Bard has it in their identity, right? Whereas the artillerist has shielding in their regular kit, right? So you have these 3 classes that give out 5 to 6 skills worth of shielding / healing, which in a normal like PvP setting, you'd have to time those correctly. You'd have to be like, oh, I have to reaction this skill because I don't want to get hit by this, and then dodge this skill. Like it alleviates so much pressure, because there's always somebody standing up that could give you a shield. There's always somebody standing up that could give you some sort of defense reduction, which is why, like, the whole system in general, that's why we didn't have double support in the first place. This is why 5 classes were considered supports. This is like, and this is what frustrates me about this tournament, is they wanted to see what the depths of the depravity of supports could give to a fucking team comp, and it's very apparent. I think it's oppressively apparent, and it makes me sad that they went this direction.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have nothing to respond to.
I mean,
I'm a PvE player.
I was letting DJ have his his speech afterwards.
My rant. Sorry. I just
soapbox.
I think that the game, like, shielding obviously can be a high skill cap defensive skill, but the way that this tournament went, it made it look really, really boring.
Yep.
So,
are we gonna see this like going forward for pre-mades like
No.
all the time now?
not in NA. I mean,
not in a tournament setting, but I feel like this is gonna be replicated just in pugs a lot.
Sure,
Because
but
I've seen something similar to this, and I was like, this is the most toxic thing
to
I've ever seen.
to beat this in a general sense, it's not the most difficult thing in the world. because these guys are all doing comms and communicating everything, right? The way that you in a high tier setting, the way you beat this team is anytime the paladin is standing still, you knock him up. Anytime the artillerist is standing still, you have to either stun him and move to the supports, or isolate the artillerist and move him away from the support. This is very difficult to execute in a group setting. In a like solo queue setting, this is not like as oppressive.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. I think we're gonna see it. It's to be a common thing.
I think we'll
to a degree, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people in NA and EU
it's gonna be a normal. So who cares about normal?
Aren't going to practice in normals with something that they can't play competitively.
That's very true. Very, very, very true.
Right, because it doesn't do you any good to practice that if you can't utilize it.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. So I mean, I'm sad that Royal Roaders went this direction because, like Zzav and I were talking about before, the OpenGL they play another team comp. They play Paladin, Blade, Scouter, and it's sick, and it's actually super fun to watch because the Scouter can
Scouter has so much movement. It's
movement, shielding. They have a lot of like buttons that actively impact the match that aren't them just standing still and like.
It's such a gross class.
Yeah, it's crazy class. Like played at the highest skill cap. Scouter's not.
So unfortunately, I think it's really interesting is that this Royal Roaders could have gone so differently because the team that played for third would have actually been a team that would have had the best chance to eliminate OpenGL's team. They were supposed to play them in the semifinals, but one of their players didn't pass COVID protocol, so they were actually DQ'd during the semifinals and had to forfeit the match and were immediately relegated to playing in the third place the next week. So OpenGL's team got to advance to the finals without playing their semifinal series.
Yeah.
And that would have been against a demonic scouter. God, was it Gunlancer or was it a Paladin? It was either a Paladin.
I'm pretty
or a
sure
Gunlancer.
it was Paladin.
But yeah, Paladin Scouter demonic, which would have been really interesting to see going up against double support artillerist.
Yeah.
Just because the Scouter would have been able to move around really efficiently and
a
lot of havoc.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool to see if they would have potentially forced OpenGL's team to swap over to their Scouter Blade comp in retaliation if they were having trouble dealing with it.
Yep. A lot of ifs, a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
That the meta is going to get changed on, based on, which
I don't want to speculate because we truly don't know.
We truly don't know yet, but
that's one thing I'm trying to break myself of is being so assumptive of what is coming to our game because we don't know.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, we just don't know where they're imagining taking this game or where where Smilegate is imagining taking this game. So with them constantly like referencing data, I mean, geez, we could see 100%ing honing through T1, T2 if it becomes like, that prevalent. So it's like,
well, it should.
Right now
It should be a thing.
Yeah,
it should be because I think you should be the goal should be to get everybody into tier 3, get everybody in the same like tier of content.
Do you think there's any way to rework T1, T2 content to make it feel more like it's a part of the game rather than just kind of an area you burst through?
I think the new player experience should be made more fun. I think that them learning how the honing system works in general through T1 and T2 is the most important thing, and making it a fun experience of like, hey, with tier 1 and tier 2, we're going to give you the mats that you need to get all the way to plus 15 in your week that you're learning this game. And get you into tier 3 so that you're learning.
They kind of do that though.
Yeah, but it requires so much time. Like I want personally, I want
any game though.
Right, I agree. But
go ahead.
I don't want to see a guy like Josh Strife Hayes. I don't know if you guys ever watch his stuff on YouTube, but he's become pretty popular with like critiquing MMOs in general. I don't want to see a guy like Josh Strife Hayes finally come to Lost Ark and his tier 1 and tier 2 experience is just like absolute ass where he's just like, I never get to. Everybody says, wait till the end game. Wait till the end game, till the game gets fun. It's like, no, the game should just be fun. Like, make the new player experience fun,
I
and
think
the end game
it
experience fun.
it should be fun. I mean, I view the new player experience to be fun. I think during the leveling process, I think if they introduced a dungeon earlier, like sooner on, besides the world. See, this is my one of the discussions I had with one of my buddies that's brand new to the like never experienced the game at all. He's just raw dogging it, right?
Yeah.
Was he said that he likes the game, right? One of the biggest drawbacks for him was how easy you steamroll through all of the dungeons, and then when you finally actually like got to true endgame content, it was like, well, shit. I wish they would have kind of introduced mechanics through like the early dungeon.
I agree.
After you leave, he's like, if they would have introduced stuff like that, it kind of would have put into perspective a little bit more for me. He's like, I like the fact that I could play the game solo, but a part of me wish there was a little bit of some type of need or desire for a team comp. I don't want to take away from like the T1 T2 experience, but again, with any game, it takes time. I don't think
Right,
that
but so
you should be able to snap your fingers and be T1
to counter
like
that,
instantly.
the issue is people who are putting in significantly more time in T1 and T2 and being behind people who have put in less time for T1 and T2, not even talking about money, just in terms of luck with RNG. That is always going to be a terrible feeling experience. And there are people in that situation, right?
I
Like,
think I think with T1, I think okay, if I had to meet you halfway, I would say T1 should be a shoe-in. But if that's the case, then just get rid of T1 and make it to where you find a new way to introduce them getting the appropriate gear score to get into tier 2, and then make tier 2. It shouldn't be like you're stumbling through tier 1 and having to hit all these islands to get the mats to get through tier 1 to then go through tier 2 and do the same thing, right? I think they could ease the T1 experience by showing the fundamentals of honing, make the honing experience a little bit more streamlined in that you're not sitting there and clicking and doing 5 levels at a time, right? If I could just get the mats and I can just shoot for 600 or whatever the score is that I'm going for, I can just pump those mats in, and then when I get to tier 2, I'm actually having to do and like understand the idea of using the honing material, the honing boost to be able to acquire a higher gear score. But to suffer in T1 and then do it again in tier 2 and then do it big time in tier 3, I definitely think is a bad player experience, because that was one of the drawbacks from one of my buddies was like, dude, I'm in T1 and like I feel like I'm having like it's becoming like a chore list for me to get out of T1 to get into T2, and you're telling me I have to do this all over again. I have to go re-hit islands. Like I don't feel like it's not a really enjoyable experience. Whereas if they would have toned the islands down and adjusted some of the islands to be more T2, and then you go through the T1 experience with a few islands around the area, and then you have more islands that are T2 based, it would have been a much better experience for him rather than
yeah, but
half and
see,
half on the islands.
we're talking about, but see, here's the thing. We're talking about something that's only an issue for our version of the game. This isn't
Mhm.
an issue in KR
Yeah,
because they have boosting,
yeah.
right? Like, and they have all these events that also give people like boosts to 1302 and right now, like there is no value in them
Mhm.
spending dev power to go back and redesign early iterations of
Yeah.
the content that is basically irrelevant now,
Mhm.
to and trying to make it relevant for the people who might be playing through it but
Mhm.
also may not.
So, are you ruling out the idea of trying to reintroduce this game to even like new players? Because anytime they put out major content, that's gonna bring new players into the game. And if they're having it like a lot of like I've had several friends that have gone through and they're like I can't, I don't care for like they died out just in T1. They're like, this is just isn't it for me. Which
Right,
my overall response
which
is like,
but
maybe
see
the
again.
whole game isn't gonna be the overall response for you or
Right, but
overall game for
here's the
you.
thing. Again, this is only an issue for our version of the game because
Mhm.
Korea has the 100% enhancing through tier
Yeah.
1 and tier 2. People come in, they get used to the like they see the game, they get through the tier 1 and tier 2 experience very quickly.
Mhm.
They don't have issues with honing, and then they get into T3, which is where they first really hit the walls with honing, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time they do also have the enhanced honing for
Mhm.
T3 as well. So it's not as bad until they get to that
Yeah.
Argos Valton honing phase,
Mm.
which is that is when you are really getting into the actual end game
Yeah.
meat cycle of things, and the game is very streamlined in that regard because they also have the Story Express system
Hmm.
Mhm.
as well, which is another thing we don't have. It's again, these are issues that are specific to our version of the game because it is new and we don't have
Yeah.
all of these
I
catch up
forgot about
systems
Story
that have been
Express.
implemented to the
Yeah.
game because it's been out for years in other regions already.
Hmm.
Mm. I feel like we're talking from like a veteran standpoint. I guess I look at like the new player like
Right.
perspective for like the larger pool of players. I feel like it's a new player base. So for them, I'm thinking, like I said, I don't think it's a lot to say to give us 100% in T1 because T1's you blow through T1. Like I feel like anyone from a new player standpoint should get through T1 fairly fast. T2 I think is where you start really experiencing the failures, and I don't think it should be as aggressive and as reliant on you doing island content. But yeah, I
As
don't know.
it's a new player experience that we're all experiencing the fix or the parts they fixed, right?
Yeah,
And we know what happens, but these new players don't. And that's what sucks about it is like they had a huge influx of players, and they're like, well, we want them to experience the content, and go through the islands and do all the stuff that these other players had to go through
yeah,
and should have experienced. And it's like, yeah, but the new that doesn't make the new play experience better, right?
yeah. I think, like I said, I think T1 should have been made
I
like
agree.
with hundred
I agree.
percent. I
I
think
agree.
T1 should have been like absolutely easy. Because then I think like like I said, I want players to just not rush, and I feel like there's a lot of new players
It's
that
not gonna
have
happen.
this absurd amount of like FOMO, and it's like, man,
Yep.
dude, like if you like trust me, you're gonna get there, and I know you want to get there right away, but like don't let that deter you from your overall game experience. People that are walking away from the game because like I just don't feel like I'm ever gonna get there, like you're gonna get there. It just for some people it takes time. Other people have really good RNG. Like you said, Zzav, you're 2 away from 250, trying to get to 1370, right? Like that is insane. Other people are like, I'm one tapping my way, and there's no doubt about it. Like, this is an easy experience. So it's tough. It is definitely tough. But I really wish that at least the T1 experience was a cakewalk for players, and let the tier 2 be a little bit of a hurdle, but not too daunting that even for veteran players, it's like this is obnoxious because I already know that T3 is where I'm going to be bashing my head into the wall.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's a hard balancing beam, and I think they chose poorly, but I think we're eventually going to, I mean, we're going to get the version that we've all played
Yeah,
in
it's
our
we're
UKR.
also like I said, veteran players I feel like are very tied into this, like we've done all this. Like we know what this is about. Like we don't care. Like we've gone through the experience. Just like Zab was saying earlier, with a lot of players hitting the forums going like, hey, dude, we've complained about this through and through. Like this
Mhm.
is unacceptable. This should not have been in the game. And I definitely think that was a dropped ball from Smilegate, that when they were developing the game for us, I think they should have took that personal feedback from a majority of their player base that literally said like, "Hey, this content literally means like nothing, and if you're gonna focus on T3, then make the T1 T2 experience a lot more beginner friendly than you've already made it."
Agreed. Agreed. I feel like, I mean, we've pretty much touched on a lot of stuff today, right? We've gone
Yeah.
through pretty much everything over the course of the
Yeah.
months. Is there anything you guys wanted to touch on as well?
Any predictions for future updates? 3 months? Any predictions where we're gonna be 3 months?
3 months.
Yeah, at the 3 month mark. So we're at month like 1 right now. At the 3 month mark, you have any predictions where we're gonna be? Content wise, game wise,
Well,
player base wise?
we'll definitely be at Valton.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Fingers
think
crossed.
I think 3 months from now we get Vicus announced.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, definitely. Uh,
or not
I
3 months
think
from
that
now. Sorry, 3 months.
I think we are going to get a new class every month.
Yo, you think it's every month, not bi-monthly?
I think it's
I
every
think-
month.
I think they realized how much we want the new classes and how much people want to play those classes that they've been waiting for. The summoners, the arcanas, the destroyers of the world, you know, like.
Well, I think it's even more simple than that. Looking at it from a business standpoint, it is a very easy way to drip feed monetization with people buying skins, buying boosts, buying whatever, and like, you know, injecting into the economy every single month for almost a year essentially because of like the class that we have available. Like even if there isn't an update for content per se, you could do like an event and a class drop. Because bi-monthly for classes would where like you do 2 months on, 2 months off, 2 months, like you're looking at like halfway through next year before we get those classes, and then there's still going to be new classes releasing. Like you're going to see Aeromancer in Korea this year. Like it's already confirmed dropping, and female Zerker at like the very end of the year.
I thought they were saying from my understanding from like Saint Owen's stream stuff that it was going to be a 2023 class. Like even I think even Gold River said it during
The
during
Aeromancer?
his sit down. No, the female Zerker, that she was like basically not on, like not totally slotted for, like he would love to see her at the end of the year, but it was going to be like more of a Q1 2023 type of push, that they were wanting to really focus on the overall game and flushing out these final arcs and stuff like that. If she drops at the end of the year, I'm excited, because just the little silhouette they put out, dude, boner alert. I'm here for it.
Boner alert.
Boner alert. Yeah. No, it was. But yeah,
was that for Aeromancer?
No.
No. For the female Zerk, dude. Chicks with abs.
No,
dude.
I know. I'm aware. I'm aware.
I'm staying away from
I was memeing you.
I'm staying away from the
baiting you into FBI open up.
No, not me. Not me, dude. Not me. I like the class, but I'm like,
he's a scumlord
I think
player.
Aeromancer is gonna be another class that's gonna have like really sick visuals and gameplay, but it's gonna be so obnoxious that it's on a like small child model.
Yes. Oh, it's like a Victorian-esque looking character, right? Like she's got like a little umbrella, and she looks like Bo Peep from Toy Story. Like, yeah, I was when I saw that, and I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Jeez. Technically, since I have the height, I could play the character.
Literally, Die Chat said the same thing right there. Oh, I love it.
Our heights match, so it's all good. But yeah, do you think we'll get artists before we get anything? Like, do you think artists will be?
I think artists will be
closer. You think it'll be on? Okay, you think it's gonna be on the end?
I think it's gonna be on it. So I actually put out my prediction for the class release, and I think it's gonna be, so what's already been leaked is Destroyer and Arcana in that order. So it's gonna see Destroyer next month, Destroyer in April, Arcana in May, Summoner in June. Round out the original Core 12 classes, get those done, because Summoner was also a class that we were originally supposed to have, but get the original Core 12 classes in. Okay, boom. Lance Master in July, which is already apparently an alleged leak from a software developer from Amazon or something, according to like a bunch of people. So who knows if that ends up being the case, but it would make sense. So Lance Master July. Then we would say Reaper August, because there's still only 2 assassins. And then Scouter in September.
I was gonna put Scouter before Reaper, because you could play on Reaper going into Halloween for October. But if you're gonna go in terms of the class and numbers, I mean, that does make sense.
Yeah, well, because we already have 4 gunners, right? So that's why I put Scouter towards the end of it, and there's still only 2 assassins, so Reaper would be great for that. And then Artist in October, and then Aeromancer maybe even November, depending on how long it's been out for. Who knows?
So are you from the sounds of it, you think by the end of the year we are going to be like nut to butt on like Korea? Like we are going to be really close behind them
in terms of classes? Yes. Content, maybe not necessarily on content. I think if we stick to the original roadmap plan, we would have been fucking caught up to them in 6 months. In terms of released content, because it seemed like they were wanting to push a Legion General every month. right?
At
Like,
one at one point I was like, holy god, dude. I was like, you have to give it, like, if that's the case, I need all of those T1 islands to be T3 islands and all the
Right.
T2 islands to be T3 islands because I need mats. Like,
right,
I need mats
we're missing so many
bad.
mats for it, right? And it's just there's no way. So it's like, we'll see Valton and Vicus, and then I think we see Abril before the end of the year.
I think we see her in like
100%.
November, December.
Yeah, I think we see her. I think we see her. I think we see her by the end of the year, which will still put us like a little bit behind Korea. But
what about Rowan?
We'll,
6 months.
we'll be. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
not
I
till
think we
next
see
year.
Rowan. I think we see Rowan.
You
Okay.
think you see Rowan this year? Oh man, I
Yeah.
don't. Man, I feel like
Well, because Rowan's not anything immediately tied into like story progression. It's its own continent with its own
Yeah.
story, and it only has a
makes sense,
14. It only has a 1445 item level requirement.
that makes
So
sense.
I think it's
so
very possible we could see Rowan before the end of the year. Like we could see it alongside the Admiral should update.
I could see the 6-month mark, around like the 6-month mark it comes out.
Hmm.
Because like South Burn is next. Like that's the. And
Yeah.
I would see that in the next 3 months.
Why'd you call it Burn, bro?
Because that's what it is. All right, I'm not calling it Burn. That's not its name. It's like Gertrude. It's like an ugly name. Vern. I hate that name. Ugh. Burn. Anyways, I feel like in the 3-month mark is we're gonna see South Burn coming out. Because if we're gonna we got Argos. We're gonna get Volton. We're gonna get a class or two, and then I see South coming out. And then from there, obviously, we're gonna get the next Legion raid, and then kind of scale from there. But yeah, that roadmap's not too
South
too
Gertrude.
far off. like
Right, and but
not-
like by then, like Korea will have still gotten new content. They'll have gotten they'll have gotten El
absolutely.
Geisha. They'll have gotten the new Legion General. They're still going to be progressing
con,
through their
the
stuff,
next one?
and so like there'll still be stuff for us to catch up
Mm.
to. I think next year we could potentially be, toe to toe with KR.
I think if I follow the way Black Desert did it, obviously for like the first 2-3 years that Black Desert was out, they were like dramatically behind by like what felt like a 6 to 8 month like timeline on content being released, and it followed that way for like years. It followed that way, and then eventually Pearl Abyss came out, and they're like, we want to just make our life a lot easier, so we want to use Korea as the testing ground for these things, facilitate the changes, and then we'll introduce them in NAEU within like a month. And now it's almost as if they're like a month, maybe like 2 weeks behind each other, and they
Yeah.
kind of follow that. I could see that by the end of the year being close to like where we're getting to, and by next year absolutely being
Yeah.
like within a month,
'Cause-
maybe 2 months behind.
We're already on class balance with
Yeah.
them, right? Like that's the first step is that we are in the same balance
What's going on with
mode,
the
or
reviews?
very close to it anyways. One thing that we don't have in terms of the class balance, which is interesting, is the cloud tornado right there on War Dancer doesn't turn red yet for our
Which is
version.
weird.
So yeah, we don't have the indicator that gives away that the cloud is about to burst, which is interesting. And we'll be curious to see when we get that actually.
I'm hoping next patch because War Dancer is really strong right now. But did we want to talk about did we want to open it up to chat at this point?
Sure.
Chat, did you guys have any questions that you had for us specifically? Our opinions on things? By the way, my personal opinion is very much in line with Zzav's. We talk about this pretty regularly on what's getting released, and
Yeah, I'm constantly annoying DJ in his DMs.
yeah. It's not so much as an annoyance as it's like we start the conversation with like we send a picture of our chests, and then it kind of opens up to, so how are you working your manscaping in this week, and then also what do you feel like on Lost Ark? So
Well, I have a question, Zzav. Are we going to see any more partnerships out of you? Can you detail that? Are we going to see any more like Amazon-based partnerships out of you? Like you did so well with the Lola event, and how you guys kind of structured that. Can we expect to see more out of you?
I have no idea.
That's not an NDA answer.
That's not. I mean, it's not up to me. You know?
Ah, man, I really hope so. I feel like you guys did like a really, even like I said, if you're not like even on like like you're not in the limelight, but just you being a part of something like that was really dope to see. A content creator be a part of an event planning like perspective of the game. It was really really dope. So I was curious. I've been wanting to like ask you that, but every time I get in, I'm always like, he's playing the scrapper. I wonder if one day I'll be able to play this class and not delete it.
Don't worry, I hate myself every day I play the class, but I love it as well. You have to be a masochist to enjoy Scrapper day in and day out.
Felt that.
Which I'm gonna quickly be getting harassed with shock questions, as apparently shock Scrapper is gaining a lot of traction in KR recently. So
Really?
that's what the masses are probably going to start shifting
Oh,
to.
boy.
The sheep are going to start going to and asking me about it. I'm like, no, I'm taijutsu. Sorry, not happening. I don't care. I'm not playing shock no matter what. I don't find it fun. Not happening. Nope. 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 Nope.
I accidentally started a DPS paladin trend probably this last week
Oh, good.
because I sold a perfect best in slot item for cheap on DPS paladin on accident. It was probably worth like 100k gold. And I sold it for 3k gold on accident. So,
Good job.
yeah, go me.
Fucking loser, dude.
Yeah. Boost with Destroyer. We talked about that before. We're definitely going to see Boost with Destroyer. Like almost.
I think it's very possible. I don't think we see anything that's up to like 1302. I think we could see level 50 boost. At the bare minimum. Maybe at most you would see it for tier 2 up to like 960.
I would see like a 960 get to Phaeton thing. Like,
Really?
yeah.
Oh man, jeez, dude. Maybe I'm just being naive. I thought
Yeah.
I could absolutely see them getting you to T3, but they're gonna have requirements that you have to have at least one character there. That's why I think it's taking so long for it to come out. Like I think they're gonna be like, no, you need to have at least one character at Papanika at this particular item level in order to unlock the Papanika like ticket itself. Like if they're gonna do it, I think they're gonna let people full send it because that's an easy cash grab for them, dude. They pump that out, and I'm boosting everything.
Sure. But at the same time, I mean, I won't even feel that inclined to boost it if they give us, the 100% honing. Like 100% honing with all the reduced costs and everything won't be that much either. I mean, a T3 boost to Punica is gonna be like $25. I'd rather play, the fucking the game with 100% honing with like half the material cost and no like, resource requirement just to, do that than spend $25 for it. I'll spend $5 to get a character to level, 50 like it is on Russia, or $6, $7. I'm not going to spend $25 per se for each of my characters. I agree that they need to get people into tier 3, but giving people a tier 3 boost when they haven't gotten to tier 3 yet is not the answer by any means whatsoever. And I don't think would ever happen.
That's what
that would be dumb.
I think that they're gonna say like you need to meet certain requirements in order to get there. That would befuddle me if that was the case. So they're just openly giving that out to people. Like, oh, here you can just get there, no problem. Like, what? No way.
Yeah. No.
Drake asked, "How do we get on the show?" I don't really have stipulations. I usually ask people that have invested before into the show and ask them if they would like to be on and get guests. So I don't really have like a system. Guess I could open it up more to we could talk about it. Me and Rufio will chat about it.
I should get mad.
Oh, yeah, the other way around. You should get mad at Mokoko Cast for scheduling a turn tourney. That's what you get mad. Do I have to buy you dinner? I mean, that'd be cool, but it doesn't help your chances. How did the archives go today? Friends, if you didn't know, the archives tournament was going on. It is finishing up now. Looks like NA West Grand Finals are going on. Speaking of, the number one, it's like a bunch of players from Japan which is SSK, and then Starlast and Virus and Fishing Sloth are playing against them.
No surprise there.
Yep.
To be expected.
To be expected. I don't know. I guess this is gonna get spicy.
It's interesting watching Fishing Sloth not play Zerker.
He's playing Zerker right now, though.
Is he?
Yeah, he swapped over.
He was on a Bard earlier.
Do we think we'll have a roadmap this week? I don't think it'll be this week.
So
go ahead.
Actually, I actually don't think we will ever see a full-blown roadmap anymore because of the it'll be month by month, because they literally said that they are going to be changing their roadmap based on player data. Yeah. And the only way you're doing that is, by looking at the data each month with where everyone's progression is with the player base, with your majority audience. And, you can't plan that roadmap out multiple months, which, they've now put them in position of having said they're going to do a roadmap. And so now everybody expects a roadmap, but they can't really effectively do one now, because then people are going to expect to hold them to that.
Yeah, like I said,
will need to be changed.
It's that whole vague terminology with how they put content out. Like, you put it as vague as possible, so that way when people read it, like, they can go and change it and be like, oh, we didn't mean that, or this is what we meant, or let us clarify some information for you. Because then they can basically take that information of what's being asked, and then they can go to Smilegate. Smilegate, we're not ready for that quite yet. So let's just give them this as a response, and people are more inclined to eating that up. So
I agree. Donsguard, Rufio plays Deathblade. His Deathblade for some reason is just a little bit shorter than everybody's in terms of gear score. It's weird. I don't know how.
1360. Put some respect on my Crippen, dog. What?
Zzav, what's your gear score?
Okay, fucking first of all. Yeah, what's your gear score, Zzav? How many failures do you have?
He's at 1370 with.
I have enough though that I'm a higher eye level than you though.
Okay.
Oh, you meant PvP build? Yeah. If you do exclamation mark builds, there is the traditional build.
Listen, I'm taking the game slow. I'm vibing, okay? I don't want to ruin my new game experience.
How's Artillerist in 1v1 arena? It's really strong. Artillerist is really strong in 1v1 arena. When there's no outside factors, Artillerist can beat people up. It's not fair, Zzav. You can reach the top shelf to grab more mats, I imagine mats. But yeah, that makes sense. Zzav can go to different islands than Rufio can. There's a height requirement on island. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. Make sure you follow Zzav not only on Twitch, but can we get a shout out for Zzav in chat? I'll throw one up. Not only on Twitch, but also on his YouTube. He's doing content in terms of PvP translation or English PvP for us English-speaking bros that want to see our KR brothers whoop some ass. Make sure you follow Rufio as well. Rufio SD, our lovely co-host, amazing human being, fantastic blade in PvE. PvP, subjective. But
is this a best of 5 for the finals?
I think it's a best of 5. But we're gonna go over there and watch it together, friends. Let's set up a raid real quick. The archives. Oh, not with an A. Okay. Friends, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us today. I appreciate you hanging out for the 13th Mokoko cast. We'll be back in 2 weeks again with more Mokoko cast action. I'll be back for a little bit tomorrow. We appreciate you all. You're all wonderful people. Look at Fishing Sloth absolutely pumped. What is going on?
He's fighting to win, dude. He's fighting to win.
Fighting for my life out here.
To this day.
Also, yes, remember everybody, Rox absolutely destroyed Rufio on Twitter. It was hilarious, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you again, Zzav, for being here. Is there anything you wanted to say before we send off the raid?
No, it's been fun. Enjoyed it. Love talking about the game. It's great. It's always fun to just discuss things and talk about the possibilities of what can come.
Dude, I love nerd shit. This is the best part of my week, you know? Just talking to people about a game we're very passionate about. It makes me happy. Thank you again for being here. Thank you, Rufio, for being here as well. I appreciate you guys. We will see you in the next one. Have fun watching the finals.
Bye.
You're